time for the Tennessee Highway Safety Office High School Football Game of the Week. The Tennessee Highway Safety Office reminds you that fans don't let fans drive drunk. The Game of the Week is also brought to you in part by Delta Dental of Tennessee and Main Street Media. Now, let's go to the field and join our play-by-play hosts live from the game. And good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome into another outstanding Thursday night here on Main Street Prep's Game of the Week action. We have made the trip down to lovely Mount Juliet, Tennessee, where tonight it'll be the Mount Juliet Christian Saints playing host to the Whites Creek Cobras. Once again on the Main Street Prep's Game of the Week, brought to you all season long by our friends at the Tennessee Highway Safety Office, who remind you that fans don't let fans drive drunk, as well as our friends at Delta Dental of TN. Alongside Casey Patrick, Wade Neely saying good evening. And Casey, yet again we find ourselves on campus for another fantastic Thursday night. I don't want to speak too soon, partner, but the weather is outstanding. We're 3 for 3 thus far.
Yeah, and I don't want to sound like a broken record, but I was thinking the same thing. As soon as I got here, it's a beautiful day. It feels great outside. We're about 15 minutes from that sun being out of our eyes, and I cannot wait.
It is a gorgeous night for high school football here, and we've got a big matchup on hand as Whites Creek has made the trip down from Metro Nashville to take on the Saints here just to the southeast over in Mount Juliet. It's going to be a fun night here on Main Street Prep's Game of the Week coverage. We actually have the band out on the field for our anthem, so we're going to step aside for our first time out. When we come back, we'll be that much closer toward the top of the hour. We'll be that much closer toward our kickoff, and it's all part of Main Street Prep's Game of the Week coverage, once again presented by the fine folks at the Tennessee Highway Safety Office and Delta Dental. Back after this from Mount Juliet.
When the arena lights dim for a concert, or when the crowd becomes one at a big game, you can almost feel like you're the biggest fan. But who's your biggest fan? It's the person that will get you home safely after a night of drinking. It's the person who looks out for your life to make sure you leave the stadium with someone sober. This could be a designated driver or someone who offers to get you a ride share. Because in Tennessee, fans don't let fans drive drunk. Brought to you by the Tennessee Highway Safety Office, a division of the Tennessee Department of Safety and Homeland Security.
At Delta Dental of Tennessee, we know our success begins and ends with providing superior quality service, and that includes serving those who need it most. This year, we're celebrating 25 years of giving back to the community we call home. Delta Dental, along with our Smile 180 Foundation, supports Tennessee's dental colleges and oral health education, children's hospitals, free and reduced cost dental clinics, and other like-minded charities. Here's to the next 25 plus years of ensuring healthy smiles.
Deep in a forest at Nashville Zoo, new creatures here for you to view. Phantoms graced in black and white swing high in trees of dappled light. In rocky crags, tall and steep, small antelopes with nimble feet. A wise old man with beard of white, a sentry perched on stony height. Amidst it all, a hunter lies, with coat of gold and steely eyes. A new adventure just for you. Leopard Forest at Nashville Zoo. Open now.
If you want the latest in weather conditions, be sure to tune in to our Busy Bee Plumbing Weather Report each weekday on Mornings on Main Street. Brought to you, of course, by Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating and Air Conditioning. We will keep you updated on the latest conditions outside, like severe weather, heat, snow, rain, and even hail.
As we welcome you back in, ladies and gentlemen, alongside Casey Patrick, Wade Neely saying good evening. Week 3 of the high school football season is moments away, and we are again on the campus. Beautiful campus here, folks. If you have not had the chance, and I certainly had not until tonight, but to make the trip over to Mount Juliet Christian, you are doing yourself a disservice until you do, because a gorgeous setting, a gorgeous night for high school football, and two teams that on paper, Casey, are kind of going in different directions. But week 3, we're still in the early stages, and we have the 2-0 Cobras taking on the 0-2 Saints here. But depending on who you ask and depending on how you evaluate these two teams, we're hoping for a good matchup here tonight.
Yeah, well, and there's always that old saying, that's why you play the game. I mean, we can sit here and look at stats and look at projections and what me or you think or anybody else thinks. It ain't going to matter. But we've got 48 minutes of football that we're going to get to watch tonight. I'm excited for it. Like we've already said, we got beautiful weather. So I'm excited to see it. I'd love to see Mount Juliet come out here and really fight really hard and give Whites Creek a game. But like you said, on paper, it does look like Whites Creek is certainly a little bit stronger than them to go here in the early part of the season.
Yeah, we mentioned the Cobras are 2-0. They started last season 2-0. They finished the year, however, 2-7. 6 seasons under the direction of head coach William Darnell. Coach Darnell, not the greatest overall record, but this may be one of his strongest teams yet, Casey. He's 11-55, but not only do they have a boatload of talent, a boatload of youthful talent that we'll go over throughout the course of our broadcast tonight, but also going down in classification traditionally can help with the wins and losses, and after playing in Region 5-4A, they now make the trip down to 5-3A. All of that has kind of fueled what has been a promising start for Whites Creek thus far.
Yeah, well, and Whites Creek has always had one of the issues that I've noticed with their football team is just the numbers. I mean, just not a large roster. And so when you do move down in classification like that, it gives you a little bit easier of a chance because you're going up against other schools that have a lot of the same issues as far as number-wise. So, hopefully for Whites Creek, that's been a really good team in a tough division for a long time now. So, given the chance, given the opportunity, and that young talent that you talked about that we will get into later, I'd like to see what they can do.
Meanwhile, you mentioned numbers. That will be the tail of the tape tonight. Mount Juliet Christian, meanwhile, not the deepest roster you've ever seen, just north of 20 players and just shy of 30 players, shall we say. They have a small but hopefully mighty roster as they are under the direction of head coach Dan Davis. He's been here now for 12 seasons. He's got a 41-74 record. They hired him after 9 years at Pearl Cone as an assistant, so he kind of has a little winning DNA in there, and they've had some success. Finished 4-6 last season, and we mentioned the 0-2 start. The good news is, hey, it's 0-2, but everybody's kind of still in non-region play. A few teams across the state will dip their toes into region action this week, but this is a game still, maybe one of your final few games to kind of really solidify a dress rehearsal in a sense.
Well, yeah, and like you said, it's not a huge issue yet because it's not region play. But if you're Coach Davis, you're going to sit here and you're going to think about ways you can get your team on the right track, and it starts with tonight, So if these guys, regardless of what the scoreboard says, if they can go out here and execute, and like I said, give this Whites Creek team a fight, I think you can start to build the foundation or the building blocks that you want. Coach Davis wants to get his team on a winning trajectory.
Should be a fun matchup tonight. It is a gorgeous backdrop here in Mount Juliet. As Casey and I will step aside for a timeout. When we come back, we'll get into our coin toss, and we will be creeping ever so close toward that kickoff coming your way at the top of the hour as Whites Creek, the Cobras, have made the trip down, taking on the Mount Juliet Christian Saints here tonight. Casey and I are back right after this here on Main Street Prep's Game of the Week coverage presented all season long by our friends at the Tennessee Highway Safety Office and Delta Dental.
When the arena lights dim for a concert, or when the crowd becomes one at a big game, you can almost feel like you're the biggest fan. But who's your biggest fan? It's the person that will get you home safely after a night of drinking. It's the person who looks out for your life to make sure you leave the stadium with someone sober. This could be a designated driver or someone who offers to get you a ride share. Because in Tennessee, fans don't let fans drive drunk. Brought to you by the Tennessee Highway Safety Office, a division of the Tennessee Department of Safety and Homeland Security.
At Delta Dental of Tennessee, we know our success begins and ends with providing superior quality service, and that includes serving those who need it most. This year, we're celebrating 25 years of giving back to the community we call home. Delta Dental, along with our Smile 180 Foundation, supports Tennessee's dental colleges and oral health education, children's hospitals, free and reduced cost dental clinics, and other like-minded charities. Here's to the next 25 plus years of ensuring healthy smiles.
As we welcome you back in, folks, captains have trickled their way out of the locker rooms, trickled their way out toward the respective sidelines here. We're on the campus of Mount Juliet Christian, home of the Saints, as the 0-2 Saints will look to knock off. Not only would you get your first win of the season, but you would give Whites Creek, the Cobras, their first loss. Casey, we mentioned that new region for Whites Creek, and we mentioned also dropping down in classification. Of course, they're in there with White House Heritage at 2-0. Those are your two leaders, as it were, in terms of overall standings at the moment. Maplewood sits there at 1-1. Westmoreland is 0-2. Stratford, a team that we just saw last Thursday, is also at 0-2. On the flip side, the Saints, they're 0-2, but it is a murderer's row in terms of that Division 2A middle region. You have Clarksville Academy, Friendship Christian, and Jared Curtis and the Nashville Christian bunch all sitting there at 2-0. Logjam in the middle with Ezel Harding, DCA, and Franklin Christian at 1-1. And then you have ZCA, that's Zion Christian Academy, down there with these Saints at 0-2. But a chance to kind of, like you said a moment ago, tinker with some things and hopefully get a nice win to bounce into region play beginning in the next week or two.
Yeah, well, and you just named it. I mean, there's a lot of teams there that are going to be tough to play, and it wouldn't matter who you are. Those are really good teams in that Division 2A. So, this is an important night for the Saints to get some of those get some of that foundation, get some of those building blocks down, because you do have a murderer's row coming up, and you got some. You have to have some guys that are ready to play.
Same kind of could be said for Whites Creek as well. And again, we mentioned they started 2-0 last season before they lost 7 in a row, finished the year 2-7. As the captains have made their way out, and we do have a coin, and it is in the air, and Mount Juliet Christian has won the toss seemingly. We're awaiting our decision. You have junior wideout KK Curtis, sophomore quarterback Joey Edgerton, and number 52, a offensive lineman / D lineman, Thatcher Lanier, the junior out there, is your three captains for the Saints. And we do make it official. Whites Creek, after the toss was won by Mount Juliet, they will defer. Whites Creek will receive. And we get closer and closer. And as long as Mother Nature hangs on here, the clouds are white right now. As long as we don't see any dark clouds kind of approaching, we should be in pretty good shape this evening, Casey.
Yeah, that's what I'm kind of hoping for, because I know I got a long drive back afterwards too. I'd love to stay dry tonight. So, but it is pretty. It's beautiful out here, and I don't know what we did right, but it's been 3 weeks so far of really great weather for Thursday night football. And I know we're not the only ones that are happy about it. A lot of folks out here tonight, and I think they're all enjoying this beautiful weather too. Good,
clean living, we'll chalk it up to. We also, third member of our crew tonight, we'll speak with him at halftime, but he's also our staff meteorologist in a sense this evening. The mayor of Mount Juliet, some refer to him as, Ivan Aronin, our good friend and Main Street Media colleague, is in the booth with us tonight as well. So kind of a who's who in that sense, Casey, with everybody up here tonight.
Yeah, I feel important. You know, I get to hang out with the cool people, and this is fun for me, but plus I get to get out of the house and go watch a little bit of football on Thursday night.
It is going to be a fun one. This is one of really only 2 games. We'll give you guys some scores at halftime and as the game continues, but only one of 2 games in the mid-state being played tonight. We had a number of Thursday night contests in our opening 2 weeks. Only a handful in the mid-state. You got a few over in East Tennessee, a couple in West Tennessee, but all eyes will kind of, in a sense, and all ears, I suppose, in terms of this broadcast, will be fixated here on Mount Juliet. We've set the stage, folks. We mentioned that it'll be Whites Creek receiving the opening kickoff. We will cap our pregame show as the lights begin to flicker here and they get ready for our teams to make their way out onto the field. We are 1 minute away from getting this thing underway here. Casey and I return after this with your opening kickoff as Whites Creek has made the trip to Mount Juliet Christian. We are back after this on Main Street Prep's Game of the Week coverage, presented all season long by the Tennessee Highway Safety Office and Delta Dental.
When the arena lights dim for a concert, or when the crowd becomes one at a big game, you can almost feel like you're the biggest fan. But who's your biggest fan? It's the person that will get you home safely after a night of drinking. It's the person who looks out for your life to make sure you leave the stadium with someone sober. This could be a designated driver, or someone who offers to get you a ride share. Because in Tennessee, fans don't let fans drive drunk. Brought to you by the Tennessee Highway Safety Office, a division of the Tennessee Department of Safety and Homeland Security.
What are you doing out there?
Come on!
I saw you at the game the other night. Yeah, you. Up there getting mad, acting like we're all out there making $1 million a game. Well, let me be real with you. This isn't the pros. It's school sports, and it's a game, our game. So please, let us play.
School sports fans, remember, when you cheer for your team, make noise for the right reasons. This message presented by the NFHS and the NIAAA.
And all student athletes in Tennessee.
Deep in a forest at Nashville Zoo, new creatures here for you to view. Phantoms graced in black and white swing high in trees of dappled light. In rocky crags, tall and steep, small antelopes with nimble feet. A wise old man with beard of white, a sentry perched on stony height. Amidst it all, a hunter lies, with coat of gold and steely eyes. A new adventure just for you. Leopard Forest at Nashville Zoo. Open now.
If you want the latest in weather conditions, be sure to tune in to our Busy Bee Plumbing weather report each weekday on Mornings on Main Street. Brought to you, of course, by Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating and Air Conditioning. We will keep you updated on the latest conditions outside, like severe weather, heat, snow, rain, and even hail.
Main Street Preps Game of the Week coverage. It's here, ladies and gentlemen. Both teams have made their way out of their respective tunnels. The Mount Juliet Christian Saints even ran through the inflated helmet. They got the mascot here. They got a good crowd on hand. Whites Creek brought a good crew as well. It is a fantastic Thursday night for high school football, and we are moments away from this opening kickoff alongside Casey Patrick. Wade Neely saying good evening. Casey, we built it up. You mentioned the weather, but just something about being on the campus on a Thursday when you kind of just jumpstart the week. I got a little goosebumps going on before this big game here tonight.
Yeah, when it just sets off the rest of the week, and you know, the last 2 weeks, like we've talked about, have been really awesome. But now we're going to start getting some NFL football back, and we got some college football on the weekend. So these Thursday night games are awesome because it just gets me in the mood because I get to watch a lot of football for the weekend, and it gets me rolling, gets everybody rolling.
We are seconds away from rolling here, and we mentioned Mount Juliet Christian will kick it off. A couple of men back deep for the Cobras. They won't get their hands on it, though. Not an onside kick per se, but it is a little bit. That was a shout-out to you, Mark Rogers. But it is a bouncer that is going to be fielded right around their own 49-yard line. So why kick it deep to the two explosive return men? Maybe get a chance at a free possession. Doesn't work out Mount Juliet's way. But Whites Creek takes over at their own 49.
Well, and this is the first time I've got to see Mount Juliet Christian, so I'm actually really excited to see, if that's a big part of their strategy. Do they plan on doing a squib or an onside kick kind of deal, every time out there? And because Whites Creek offense is strong, so, maybe just cut the field in half. Don't let them run around so much.
Whites Creek scored over 80 points already. They only had 200 points all season long last year. They empty the backfield on this opening possession and on this opening play, and the pocket is breaking down and going down. Trapped in the backfield. Not one, not two, but three different Saints converging and making a huge stop. Caden Smith, the sophomore linebacker, had probably the cleanest shot on the quarterback, as on 1st and 10, Deion Barnes, the standout sophomore, goes down.
Yeah, and Deion just his first read wasn't very good, so he tried to get out of the pocket and make something happen, and he didn't know. He had no clue that I think that was who did you say that was with the sack?
Caden Smith, number 3, was one of the three. A couple other in on the tackle. Now they have a man in the backfield, and they do hand off, and on 2nd and 20, getting the outside edge, that is a big chunk of yards, around 10, maybe 11 yards. Good-looking tote over the left side for Jock Covington. And Covington, the senior, 5'9", 150 pounds, kind of erases that sack on 1st and 10 with a big pickup.
Well, and that shows you, too, why the Saints didn't want to kick to him. Covington had some serious speed to get he kind of took away the angle from the defense and was able to get to the sideline over there.
First third down of the night comes your way 1 minute into this contest. 3rd and 9, the ball is resting right on the 50-yard line on the far side hash. Still one in the backfield as Barnes will drop out of the gun now, dumping it in the flat, finding Covington. And he's got acres of space, makes one man miss. Now a second. He's in a foot race toward the pylon, the right side pylon. And did he get in? No, they say pushed out of bounds, brought down just shy of the goal line. Little dump pass in the flat right there, maybe down to the 4. So about a 46-yard pickup on 3rd and 9. A little bit of a backbreaker early for the Saints.
Well, and it was just a perfect play set up by Whites Creek there, too, because, the Saints are getting their defense back, and they want to get prepared for a long 3rd down play, and they just dump it off short and let Covington make some magic happen.
Barnes takes the snap out of the gun, turns, sticks it in the breadbasket of Covington, who's brought the Cobras back from the dead here. Again, it was 2nd and 20 after an opening sack. Covington picked up 11 yards on a carry, hauled in a simple pass in the flat for 46, nearly scored. He's brought down just shy of the goal line. It'll set up 2nd and goal here now.
Well, in this defense, they're getting ready for DeAries Holland, but Covington's been the main man so far on offense.
1-yard rush. Zone read here. They do hand it off to Covington, and he slips into the end zone. Nice little zone read, little stretch play, if you will, toward the left, and a good job and a good read by the sophomore Barnes, handing it off to Covington, who really did everything on that drive. Again, it was 2nd and 20 after an opening sack. Covington with a big rush, a huge reception downfield, and then 2 plays later, he sticks it in. Whites Creek with an early score. They lead at 6-0 with 9:40 to go in this opening quarter.
Well, I feel like special teams is going to be really interesting tonight because Whites Creek is lining up for a 2-point conversion, and we already had Mount Juliet Christian do an onside kick. Oh,
Whites Creek turns, hands off. That's Brandon Powell, who's a sophomore wide receiver, and a handoff to the receiver. You heard that correctly. He was lined up, and he runs it in. 8-0 will be your new score. Early points for the Cobras here. After an early sack, they make amends in a big way, and they lead it by 8 when we come back after this in 30 seconds here on Main Street Prep's Game of the Week coverage brought to you by the Tennessee Highway Safety Office.
When the arena lights dim for a concert, or when the crowd becomes one at a big game, you can almost feel like you're the biggest fan. But who's your biggest fan? It's the person that will get you home safely after a night of drinking. It's the person who looks out for your life to make sure you leave the stadium with someone sober. This could be a designated driver or someone who offers to get you a ride share. Because in Tennessee, fans don't let fans drive drunk. Brought to you by the Tennessee Highway Safety Office, a division of the Tennessee Department of Safety and Homeland Security.
Eight nothing is your score. Whites Creek recovered a onside kick at their own 49. They were backed up 10 yards on 1st and 10. They were sacked. Mount Juliet Christian, though, gives up consecutive massive gains to Covington, the speedster out of the backfield, and he scores a couple plays later. Good drive for the Cobras here. Mount Juliet Christian trailing this contest 8-0, Casey Patrick.
Well, I like the versatility from the offense, too, because the first play, I know it ended up in a sack, but quarterback Deion Barnes lines up in 5 wide, and then they convert the 2-point conversion out of I formation. So I like what I've seen out of the offense.
This is kicked a mile high, kind of on a pooch kick. No fair catch called, but the grab is made. That's the good news for Mount Juliet Christian. So the Saints will take over. Both teams are pretty good starting field position on their opening drives. This one should be spotted right around the 45 as the Saints move right to left in this opening quarter.
Well, and number 16 right there, Austin Norwood, is saying, I think he's trying to say that he called for fair catch on that. He's waving his hand around, but I didn't see his hand, and the referee surely didn't either.
5-play drive for the Cobras. Again, 8-0 is your score. About 9.5 minutes remaining in this opening quarter. First look offensively tonight for the Saints, who snap it out of the pistol and brought down in the backfield. Both teams lose yards on their opening snaps of the night. It was a sack for Mount Juliet Christian early. This is a carry, and Ramel Anderson, the sophomore, he's dropped in the backfield. Good pursuit upfield by the outside edge there for the Cobras.
When I tell you one thing I'm not exactly happy about already to start with, Ramel Anderson, as soon as he got tackled, he just stood right back up and looked right over at the sideline. I think he's they're kind of worried already about the defensive pressure.
Not a good start for Mount Juliet Christian. Whites Creek again 2-0, and they lead this game 8-0. And, incomplete pass. I don't know if you could pick up the audio on that one, but it's a wicked shot right there. Nearly a completion and a fumble. But that is one of the louder incomplete passes you will ever see as Anderson takes a vicious shot trying to haul it in.
But from the quarterback. He took it from the Whites Creek quarterback there. He's hauling. I mean, he just come down and just made a really fantastic play. He saw the quick out. He jumped on the pattern. He almost got there before the ball did, and he really walloped that receiver.
3rd and 15, 8:54 to go. 8-0 is your score. It's a big play early in this game for Mount Juliet Christian, who trails by a TD. Rolling to the left, weak side, and getting rid of it at the last minute. That ball is tipped and nearly intercepted in and out of the hands of a couple of players, and another vicious shot. Whites Creek's defense showing up and bringing the lumber twice on that drive as Edgerton took a massive hit at the end right before we released the ball.
Man, you ain't lying. Edgerton just got, there were 2 hits on that drive. I mean, only 3 plays, but Whites Creek is really bringing some pain already here just in the first few minutes.
Punting situation. Tough start here for the Saints. Whites Creek is leading. They have 10 at the line here, and they are bunched up tight. They may be bringing a block attempt. Now they send a couple of gunners out, as Mount Juliet Christian will punt this away, and it is not a great punt. That has hit at least 1 or 2 players for both teams. The ball did not get a foot off the ground. It was kind of a knuckling kick right off the boot. And again, it basically was kicked right into the line, and it hit a couple of different players. Had to have touched at least one Whites Creek player, so it was kind of a scrum for the ball there. The officials are now trying to determine where to mark it.
I believe that ball was cutting grass out there. It was flying, and it did not get high off the ground. And I believe the punt, like you said, it went off a few people's feet. It's going to end up not going much further than 5 yards, if that. I do believe Whites Creek has it, though.
And I mentioned, it was kicked right into – I think the officials are curious. If he kicked it into one of his own linemen, it would be downed right there.
Mm-hmm.
And, I mean – that was reminiscent of me out there on the golf course, Casey. I mean, that ball got 6 inches off the ground. So
I've done that.
So as my reminiscent of my tee shots.
I've done
in that sense. They finally spot it in Mount Juliet territory at the 48-yard line. So gorgeous start to this drive, already leading 8-0. Here come the Cobras. Barnes out of the backfield, firing downfield, and that is hauled in and pushed out of bounds, tucked away around the 41. Whites Creek's moving left to right here in this opening quarter.
Well, just a nice 10-yard hitch. He hit Andrew Pritchett right there really quickly for the first down. I really like what I've seen so far out of the Whites Creek offense. They've been the first play wasn't great, but since then they've been solid.
Out to the 40. Second in inches here. Officially, they mark it. Barnes quickly dropping back, firing downfield. Caught! Streaking into the end zone. Second touchdown of the night for Jaquez Covington. Covington, 5'9", 150 pounds. Again, he's listed as a wide receiver in DB, but we saw a lot of him in the backfield. But that time, he looked much more a natural receiver, wide open on a little bit of a seam, and 40 yards to pay dirt. Whites Creek leading this game by 2 scores now. 7:50 to go. It's 14-0 in the first quarter.
Well, you got to give the coach a lot of credit on that play. He gets Covington, who is one of their speedsters. He gets him lined up on the inside against one of the Mount Juliet Christian linebackers, and he had him beat by 15 yards before he got to the 20. So, really good job by the coaches there to get their guy open.
2-point conversion. Basically the same play that they ran a moment ago. Brandon Powell, the wide receiver, but they hand it to him, and he scoots in. Whites Creek extends its lead. 16-0 is your score. Casey and I are back in just a moment. Cobras on top big early here on Main Street Prep's Game of the Week coverage.
At Delta Dental of Tennessee, we know our success begins and ends with providing superior quality service, and that includes serving those who need it most. This year, we're celebrating 25 years of giving back to the community we call home. Delta Dental, along with our Smile 180 Foundation, supports Tennessee's dental colleges and oral health education, children's hospitals, free and reduced cost dental clinics, and other like-minded charities. Here's to the next 25-plus years of ensuring healthy smiles.
Whites Creek scores yet again. Their second possession, shorter in terms of plays, shorter in terms of duration, but a touchdown just the same. Covington goes into the end zone for his second score, and the Saints trail. Massive hole early, Casey Patrick, 16-0. And again, this game started with the Mount Juliet Christian defense recording an 11-yard sack. Vibes were high, and then in the blink of an eye, Whites Creek has totally flipped the script.
Yeah, and they are totally dominating the line of scrimmage as well. That's going to be one thing that, regardless of how the rest of this night goes for the Saints, they're going to have to figure out something just to give the quarterback, Joey Edgerton, a little bit of time back there in the backfield to make something happen, because they haven't had White Creek has had immediate pressure on every play defensively.
You mentioned Edgerton. Good to see him back out there again. On third down, his incomplete pass a moment ago, he took a vicious lick. But he stands tall, calling the signals. And we got movement on both sides of the ball. And officials are pointing toward Whites Creek. First penalty of the night looks like it might go against the Cobras. A little encroachment there.
Oh, wow.
3-5 yards. Both guys were kind of moving. It was just that classic question of who moved first.
Yeah, I assumed they were going to call Ramel Anderson for that. He was looking over at the sideline, tapping his chest, saying my bad to his coaches, but they'll take 5 yards.
And now officials are halting the play here.
No, one of the officials wasn't in his spot.
He said, wait a second, let me get ready. 1st and 5 now. Edgerton facing immense pressure. Oh, my, he is brought down. Lassoed and hogtied in the backfield. Shot right up the middle. That was Prince Foster, listed at 5'8", 175 pounds, the sophomore, shooting right up the gap and bringing the QB Edgerton down for a big sack.
Well, I'm going to tell you one thing, and I talk about this a lot, with the teams that I'm always around. I talk about body language. I try to look at it and see the things that I recognize. And right there, Edgerton, Thatcher Lanier, which is one of the team captains, went over to help him up after the sack, and Edgerton didn't really want his help to get up. I'm already seeing some negative body language, and we're way too early in the game to be treating it like that.
So going backwards after the free 5 yards, this puts it all the way back to be 2nd and long from their own 32. Midway through this first quarter, 16-0, Whites Creek leads. Edgerton fires that pass, nearly intercepted. Guess who? It was Prince Foster, kind of just lurking in the area, and it hit him in a bad spot, right in the hands. There was nobody around. That would have been a pick six, but Foster just flat out dropped it. It'll be an incompletion.
Yeah, and Foster just sitting there in his zone. I mean, he's not really doing anything special, watching the quarterback's eyes, and Edgerton kind of just looking down one target. I don't think he's going to have a lot of time to get to his second read anyway, but he fired the pass in there. I thought he had a chance to get it over Foster's hands, but Foster jumped up, made a nice play right there.
3rd and 17. Cobras lead this game 16-0. Mount Juliet Christian, no signs of life offensively yet. They need a big play, or at least a little breathing room. They'll pass, and speaking of incompletions, Foster just dropped an interception. And along that far sideline, Mount Juliet Christian drops a surefire completion. Probably would have been a struggle to flirt even with a first down there. But instead it'll be another punting situation, 4th and 17.
Yeah, I believe that might have been, I'm not 100% sure, I believe that was sophomore Caleb Graves up on the top of the field, but I could be incorrect. But a little bit of a high pass there on that screen, but got to be able to pull that one in.
4th and 17. For those that have been with us, our opening punt tonight for Mount Juliet Christian got about 6 inches off the ground, went about 8 yards.
Oh, this could be fun.
We've seen issues with the snap in both of our 2 games we broadcast thus far this season. That snap was off to the side, but before the play could begin, timeout was called. We'll take a quick break as well. Back in 1 minute, Whites Creek leading Mount Juliet Christian Main Street Prep's Game of the Week coverage here all season long, courtesy of the Tennessee Highway Safety Office.
Deep in a forest at Nashville Zoo, new creatures here for you to view. Phantoms graced in black and white swing high in trees of dappled light. In rocky crags, tall and steep, small antelopes with nimble feet. A wise old man with beard of white, a sentry perched on stony height. Amidst it all, a hunter lies, with coat of gold and steely eyes. A new adventure just for you. Leopard Forest at Nashville Zoo. Open now.
If you want the latest in weather conditions, be sure to tune in to our Busy Bee Plumbing weather report each weekday on Mornings on Main Street. Brought to you, of course, by Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating and Air Conditioning. We will keep you updated on the latest conditions outside, like severe weather, heat, snow, rain, and even hail.
Out of the timeout, folks. We believe Austin Norwood is lined up to punt. And while we were in a bit of an extended break there, Norwood punts it deep. Much better punt. He punts it right to Darius Holland Jr. More on him in a moment. But Holland catches it on a blistering run, cutting upfield to the left, reversing course to the right, and running some 60 yards to pay dirt for a touchdown. But a penalty marker hits the deck, and Mount Juliet Christian, already trailing 16-0, catches a big break there. Otherwise, we're talking a special team score.
Well, and that's the first time I got to see Holland touch the ball, so I was kind of excited for it. I hate he got his touchdown taken away from him, but the young man showed you what type of wheels he's got, so just another weapon for this Whites Creek team.
Holland, just a sophomore, already has offers, though, from Tennessee, Kentucky, Maryland, Nebraska, Vanderbilt. Very bright future for this young sophomore. Whites Creek, again, 2-0. They got some promising talent here on this roster, including Barnes, the sophomore QB, who evades and now fires downfield, incomplete. Barnes, who was sacked on the opening play tonight, stepped up in the pocket, then had to flee to his left. Streaking downfield was Pritchett, and diving to his near sideline there, could not haul it in, incomplete.
Well, my eyesight's not very good, so I don't want to blame Pritchett on that one because I'm not exactly sure, but it looked like it hit him in the hands over there on the other side of the field. There was nobody close to him. He was headed out of bounds anyway. He was going to be down, but had a chance to haul in a nice 25-yard reception there, just a little bit far away from the fingertips.
We mentioned it in our pregame show. Whites Creek went 2-0 last year and then lost 7 straight to close the year. Who knows how this season ends out, but, man, they do have some real weapons on both sides of the ball we've seen thus far. 16-0 they lead. Here's a handoff up the middle to our two-point conversion specialist, Brandon Powell. Powell, again, listed as a wide receiver, but we've seen him really in a running back role. And he cuts upfield out to around the 43-yard line. Picks up about 6 yards. This is a big third down for Mount Juliet Christian if they want to get back in this game trailing 16-0.
Well, I know I barked about this last week, but Powell listed at 5'11", 160, and I don't believe those numbers are correct. Now, the 160 might be close, but he looks a little bit taller than 5'11" to me. He's a bigger kid than you'd think.
5:20 to go. Barnes throwing a laser downfield. A couple of Saints blanketing on the coverage there. Pass intended downfield for Robert Cook, the senior. It was a good-looking ball. Trying to thread the needle there, but Cook couldn't haul it in. It'll be incomplete. And a good stop on third down. Decision time. See if Coach William Darnell elects to punt. I kind of get the feeling they're not really in the business of punting very often.
Deion Barnes walked off the field. I was thinking the same thing, though. I mean, and Powell's back here to receive this punt. So, just give him the ball. He's got, 3 yards to go? I think he gets there. But he is lined up to punt.
And we got a penalty that comes in. And the center.
You got a snap infraction.
Don't usually see that. Kind of wiggling the ball there. That was Travis Davidson, 5'10" sophomore. One thing to keep your eyes on, too, especially if this is a pure punt, is Powell's got a little bit of a wrap on his right hand. Kind of a soft cast.
You noticed that right before I did.
He does catch it. He does kick it. Not the prettiest kick you've ever seen. But, man, he takes a great roll. About 6 Cobras kind of standing around and fanning it, trying to get an extra yard or two. There is a penalty marker down, kind of around the line of scrimmage.
Whitehat's looking over here at the Mount Juliet Christian sideline, so I believe it's a penalty on the Cobras. We're waiting on him to tell us,
Yeah,
though.
waiting.
I don't think he knows what's going on just yet.
16-0 is your score. Whites Creek scoring on 2 short possessions. 5 minutes left in this opening quarter. And we're going to have a procedure penalty. And I think we're going to line up and punt this again.
Well, I don't blame Mount Juliet Christian if that's the decision they make, because that ball was down pretty deep down into their territory. And like you said, I'm glad you noticed that that whatever that cast is on Powell's hand, because that could make the special teams I talked about earlier. It could make these special teams really wild.
He's going to punt this one again. There's a little movement on the line, but we do get the snap away. This is a much worse punt.
That's a great decision for the Saints.
Not a great kick, and that does not take a Whites Creek roll. It actually takes a little 9-iron, a little English on there. It rolls backwards a yard or two. So you mentioned Coach Davis. That was a great move there. Re-kick it. Not the greatest effort, so Mount Juliet Christian takes over at their own 39-yard line. Late stages of this first quarter, 4:47 to go. Trailing 16-0. Get a score. Maybe you can get back in this game.
Yeah, and it's going to really just depend on that offensive line. They got to be able to protect Edgerton for some time here to get anything done.
Edgerton fleeing for his life. He does head toward the sideline. He was looking downfield. Nothing ever developed, so he tucks himself out of bounds for maybe half a yard, maybe no gain. Actually loses half a yard.
I think Edgerton should have been a little bit smarter there. I think he had an opportunity to cut upfield, maybe get 3 or 4 yards. I know it's not a big deal, but when you're going up against these defenses that are really just enforcing their will on the line, you need every inch you can get, and I think Edgerton just kind of jumped out of bounds there a little early.
Jumped out of bounds a hair early, so it sets them back about a yard. 2nd and 11. Mount Juliet Christian in black tops and black bottoms tonight. They also got black helmets. Whites Creek in white tops and white breeches with black helmets. And this is a dump in the flat. It is complete for a minimal gain, about a 4-yard gain, but we got a hanky down.
You might get a personal foul here. Yep.
Pretty cleanly played ball game for the first couple of drives, and then it's turned into a little bit of a penalty fest here.
When you just can't block going back to your own end zone, and that's what happened.
Officials are talking to Coach Darnell on that far sideline.
When they threw a really nice little like a dump out pass to the running back going out on the right side closer to the sideline, and the receiver that was up on the top of the field, he comes back and he puts a block on the defensive end there. And it wasn't a hard block, but you just can't block back towards your own goal line. And it's just you really hate that for Mount Juliet Christian because it's really hurting them when they go backwards.
We say all that,
and they didn't move.
And I'm not sure what was decided there, but the play stands. So it is 3rd and 8. Yeah, maybe picked up the flag. I don't know. There was a lot of discussion on that far sideline. 3rd and long, though. Mount Juliet Christian on the far side hash. They fire. That pass is caught. Nice slant downfield. Tucking, now running, fleeing for his life. Up toward that right sideline is Caleb Graves. Hard to see these numerals from distance, but I believe that's number 2, Caleb Graves, the sophomore, taking the slant and then cutting toward the sideline to the tune of about 40 yards.
I believe you're correct. It is Graves, and I really love what Edgerton did right there. He just stood in the pocket. He knew there was going to be some pressure. He fired that ball into that slant. He gave his guy a chance to win the game or win the ball, and Graves did, and he made a play.
They officially spot this around the 20. So, again, about a 40-yard pickup there. Edgerton, a little juice now for the first time tonight. Throws toward the end zone. Incomplete.
Edgerton hit as he was throwing there, and that ball kind of lame duck landed at the 5-yard line. I tell you, I think Mount Juliet's a little bit lucky that Holland didn't get his eyes turned around, because if he'd got his head turned around, he had an opportunity to intercept that ball.
Make a good point, Casey. He was really the one with the best shot to make that grab.
He was the only one close to it.
2nd and 10. Again, the ball's at the 20. Mount Juliet Christian trails 16-0, but with 2:47 to go, they are knocking on the door here for the first time tonight. Twin wide receivers split to the left, one to the right. Edgerton firing, another slant. That one is hauled in. And closer toward the goal line. I want to say that's Graves again. Again, it is. These numerals are tricky.
I'm not even going to try and guess what that number is from this far away. My eyes don't work anyway. But it's another really good throw from Edgerton on the slant there. And I do believe that was Graves. I can see his number a little bit better now. Yeah, that was Graves. A really nice catch, another really good catch. Getting him a first down inside the 10 here. Got an opportunity to score. 1st
and goal coming up for these Saints here. Again, it's 16-0. It's been all Whites Creek. But this game is kind of taking new life. A little bit of a special teams fiasco from Whites Creek with the penalties. And now catching this one in the flat and racing toward the pylon. My view is completely obstructed here. That pass was caught in the flat, though, by Anderson. And based on the crowd reaction, he did not get into the end zone.
No, sir. He got down to about the 5-yard line, and that Cobras defense really swarmed him.
2nd and goal, minute 34, and the clock is running here.
Got a different look here. Got a different guy in at quarterback. Number 1, KK Curtis, lined up.
He's a playmaker. Didn't get a chance to speak his name a lot just yet, but he can do some things if he gets in space. He's cut off on the right. Now he's getting out of danger to the left. Needs one block. He got it. Can he get the end zone? He does.
Wow.
KK Curtis running 20 yards to the right, reversing, completely bottled up, and upon reversing field, catches a great block downfield. And the longest 6-yard touchdown run you will ever see. KK Curtis is in the end zone, and Mount Juliet Christian is on the scoreboard, folks. 16-6 with 1:04 remaining in our opening quarter.
I mean, and he honestly did. He ran on the other side of the numbers over there and ended up far enough left that we couldn't see him in the press box. So that's how much running he just did to get the Saints their first touchdown. Extra point is good.
PAT is up and pure, and we have a ball game suddenly, folks. 16-0. Whites Creek was dominating, but Mount Juliet Christian showing a little sign of life offensively. 16-7 is your new score. Casey and I are back right after this on Main Street Prep's Game of the Week coverage, presented by our friends at Delta Dental.
At Delta Dental of Tennessee, we know our success begins and ends with providing superior quality service, and that includes serving those who need it most. This year, we're celebrating 25 years of giving back to the community we call home. Delta Dental, along with our Smile 180 Foundation, supports Tennessee's dental colleges and oral health education, children's hospitals, free and reduced cost dental clinics, and other like-minded charities. Here's to the next 25-plus years of ensuring healthy smiles.
Welcome back, folks, on a gorgeous Thursday night here in Mount Juliet. Glad that you're with us for Main Street Prep's Game of the Week coverage alongside Casey Patrick. Ivan Aronin is in the booth with us as well. We mentioned he's our Main Street colleague, but he's also our staff meteorologist tonight. He gives us a thumbs up. We're looking pretty good. Great night for high school football, and great game suddenly, Casey, as Mount Juliet Christian marches right down the field, showing some real signs of life. And we got a quick kick, though. Oh, and that ball is loose. Caught initially, and then before his knees hit the turf. The ball did wiggle free, but Whites Creek does maintain possession at their own 49. But for all the woes offensively, the slant passes, 2 of them in particular, downfield from Edgerton to Graves, kind of fueled a new drive, and suddenly 16-7, we got a ball game on our hands.
Yeah, and something I was talking about a minute ago with that body language, you see that start to really take a turn. These guys down here are ready to play some football now. You know, as soon as they see that touchdown earlier, they're excited, they're back into it, and even the coaches now, everybody's hollering and ready to go. Defense lined up.
Empty backfield, and we got a 4-wide set here on the right side, and they do throw toward that 4-wide, and they got a little bit of a screen play over to the right, and now reversing course. We're going to have this play called back from a penalty standpoint. It was a screen pass, and it was caught by Holland, the explosive wide receiver, and he takes a page out of Curtis's playbook and reverses for the touchdown, some 60 yards, but pretty clear block in the back downfield, or a crackback block, I guess we're officially going to rule this. But Whites Creek, that is the second time now we've seen points come off the board due to penalty.
And the second time Holland scored it, you know, and I mean, right there, I tell you what, that again, it is fun when that kid gets the ball in his hands. It looked kind of like a little bit of a throwback here, but Dante Hall with the Chiefs. I mean, just human joystick moving around, making guys miss. Before I knew it, he's on the other side of the field running into the end zone. It is going to get called back, but that young man can really run.
5 wide receiver set. 4 were lined up toward the right. Holland lined up the deepest. He catches the screen, runs into traffic on the right side, and then weaves his way toward the left, as Casey mentioned. Hit the turbo button around the 30, but also around the 30 is where we had that illegal block in the back, or that crackback block. And so now, after the penalty, Whites Creek's going to snap this ball first and a mile.
I'm excited to see that play
44. Again. Yeah, if they run that again, I like their chances at some point tonight.
A little diamond formation down here, just throw a screen to the back guy.
That pass, good job jumping the route. Didn't intercept it, made the tackle immediately, did Austin Norwood. He got close to getting right there on time to bat it away, but it is a completion to Robert Cook, but Norwood with great coverage there at the DB spot.
Well, and that was really good football from everybody involved. Deion Barnes, I thought, made a really nice throw, quick decision. He got the ball out here to his guy, but like you said, Graves coming up, he got his hand in there where that ball was at, knocked it loose. Incomplete pass. Really good football from both sides on that play.
Yeah, correction, they did mark that incomplete. Good job by Norwood there. As up the middle, haven't really seen Whites Creek go running up the middle, and for good reason maybe. A couple of players in on the stop, as that might be your final play of the quarter. A couple of Saints in on the tackle. Thatcher Lanier, one of the captains, was in on the mix. Orlando Devids was in there as well. And a little swag now from the Saints, as, again, that will take us. And everybody's kind of standing around. Yeah, they officially mark at the end of the quarter. 16-0, it was Whites Creek looking like they were going to run away with this game. But all of a sudden, here come the Saints, folks. 16-7 as Casey and I return. Quarter number 2 comes your way right after this on Main Street Prep's Game of the Week coverage, presented by our friends at the Tennessee Highway Safety Office and Delta Dental.
When the arena lights dim for a concert, or when the crowd becomes one at a big game, you can almost feel like you're the biggest fan. But who's your biggest fan? It's the person that will get you home safely after a night of drinking. It's the person who looks out for your life to make sure you leave the stadium with someone sober. This could be a designated driver or someone who offers to get you a ride share. Because in Tennessee, fans don't let fans drive drunk. Brought to you by the Tennessee Highway Safety Office, a division of the Tennessee Department of Safety and Homeland Security.
At Delta Dental of Tennessee, we know our success begins and ends with providing superior quality service, and that includes serving those who need it most. This year, we're celebrating 25 years of giving back to the community we call home. Delta Dental, along with our Smile 180 Foundation, supports Tennessee's dental colleges and oral health education, children's hospitals, free and reduced cost dental clinics, and other like-minded charities. Here's to the next 25 plus years of ensuring healthy smiles.
It is 3rd and long.
Big third down as we begin the second quarter. Whites Creek leads 16-7. Offense is backed up. Barnes going to roll toward his right. Firing off his back foot. A blistering pass downfield. Hauled in. What a grab by Covington, who had the first 2 touchdowns this evening for the Cobras. Barnes throws an absolute BB to his right. That is a monster pickup, and the Cobras are right in the red zone to begin the second quarter.
Well, Covington doing his best Willie Mays impression there with a little, basket over the shoulder catch. I think Covington's been a really nice, pleasant surprise coming into this game. I didn't know much about him, but he's been all over the field, moving really quick and making plays for the Cobras.
I believe they spotted at the 17. Whites Creek moving right to left in this second quarter. That pass is incomplete on 1st and 10.
I got to stop talking good about people. Right off the hands of Covington. He kind of opened on a quick out route. And a little bit of a high throw from Barnes, which is the first time I've really seen him be, inaccurate. It wasn't a terrible bad throw, but right off the fingers of Covington.
16-7 is your score. Again, Whites Creek led this game 16-0. Saints look like they were wobbling. But they put together a nice touchdown drive just a moment ago. Trying to maybe get a first real stop here. Here's a handoff up the middle to Powell, who has a couple of 2-point conversions. And again, he's listed as a wide receiver, but it is apparent they have no problems turning and hand the ball off to him. He reverses course and picks up a nice gain. Going to wait for an official marker. But he's got first down yardage. It'll be 1st and goal upcoming for the Cobras, down to about the 5, I believe.
He kind of reminds me of old Titans running back Chris Brown with the tall shoulders and running real high. But he makes people miss, and he's got some good speed downhill. So I'm kind of excited to see him try to run somebody over. He's got some good size to him.
He runs a little upright, but he's shifty. And they hand it to him again. He shakes off one tackle. And he bruises his way into the end zone, a la Chris Brown from back in the day. Absorbing a hit, staying vertical, and getting into the end zone. That is a big response there for the Cobras, who, again, were threatening to run away with this game, but all of a sudden the Saints had restored a lot of the mojo here. But a nice touchdown drive that began at their own 48. We're going to line up for a 2-point conversion attempt here. Waiting to see here on this.
Yeah, you're going to have Barnes line up for another 2-point conversion. I don't see Powell out there, so they may have gotten rid of that play.
Powell may need a quick breather. He had 2 nice totes right in a row there.
Incomplete.
Yep, incomplete pass will kill the 2-point conversion. So just 6 points for the Cobras, and so it's 22-7. And Casey and I will step aside for a timeout. It'll be a chance for the Saints to try and answer when we come back. You are listening to Main Street Prep's Game of the Week coverage presented all season long by our friends at the Tennessee Highway Safety Office.
When the arena lights dim for a concert, or when the crowd becomes one at a big game, you can almost feel like you're the biggest fan. But who's your biggest fan? It's the person that will get you home safely after a night of drinking. It's the person who looks out for your life to make sure you leave the stadium with someone sober. This could be a designated driver or someone who offers to get you a ride share. Because in Tennessee, fans don't let fans drive drunk. Brought to you by the Tennessee Highway Safety Office, a division of the Tennessee Department of Safety and Homeland Security.
Second quarter action. Whites Creek, their offense has been humming tonight, Casey Patrick. 22-7 they lead. Just when Mount Juliet Christian looked like they were getting back in this game, the Cobras with a nice response.
Yeah, when Mount Juliet Christian was, they had a lot of things going their way. They had just scored. They had a second or third and really long coming up for the Cobras. But like you said, Deion Barnes threw a BB, and Covington made an excellent catch to keep the drive alive. Powell finds the end zone, and Cobras are rolling again.
This is the deepest kick we've seen all night for either team. And that ball was not booted particularly deep. That's why said that a little tongue-in-cheek. It was fielded running downfield at the 30, but I don't know if it was muscle memory and if it was a fair catch intentionally called or.
Well, the guys up front called the fair catch, and
a fair catch was issued, though.
Yep. Well, and I think since they called for it, they gave him the fair catch, but Ramel Anderson didn't call for a fair catch, but he caught it, and so they're going to stop him at what looks like the 29.
So a little bit of a tough break there.
He had some room. He was going to start running.
Full head of steam when he grabbed that ball, right?
Yeah, and he's one of their athletes. So, I mean, I'm thinking you want him to have the ball in his hand with some space.
Saints will work left to right as they begin this possession. That pass is intercepted. In and out of the hands on another slant pass. And that pass is intercepted by the Cobras. Caleb McDonald. That's the 4th interception of the season for Whites Creek. 4 different players have now made interceptions, and that one was right place, right time for the junior Caleb McDonald. In and out of the hands of a receiver and right into the fingertips, falling at his own 40. Suddenly the Cobra offense back out on the field.
Yeah, I didn't get a real good look at who caught it, but that pass was not thrown into a good place, and it was a little bit behind the receiver. But Edgerton was trying to do what he could to keep the ball away from the defense, but the tip pass up in the air, and the Cobras come up with it.
So on a night where Whites Creek has benefited from good field position to start their drives, this is their best of the night. They begin at the Saints 40. Empty backfield. 3 wide receivers to the right, and they go into the slot on the right, and the Saints miss an early tackle, and that allows Darius Holland Jr. again, elite playmaker, the sophomore, shakes off a would-be tackler. Would have been about a 4-yard pickup, and instead he picks up about 20 yards.
Well, Whites Creek's going fast, and they're going 5 wide here. Really fast.
They snap it. Barnes is going to roll to his left. This play will come back on a penalty. He chucks one deep in the end zone.
It's going to be a touchdown in the end zone.
It is going to. That is the quickest the officials have ever ruled a holding, as the play had to be extended there. The hold occurred almost immediately as Barnes rolls to his left. This kid has got an insane arm.
When he's confident, too. Like, you can tell watching him play that he knows he's got a good arm. He's getting out here and he's running around. He's flinging that thing. And he's got some athletes to throw it to. It's an offense that's been a lot of fun to watch from my perspective. Again, just little things getting in the way here. You had the sack on the first play. You got a flag on this last touchdown. Darius Holland has had 2, maybe 3 touchdowns now called back. So you'd like to see them kind of fix up the few things they are doing incorrect.
Cobras leading this game midway through the second quarter, 22-7. They've really been the only thing that has slowed them down tonight. As Casey alluded to, some of the penalties have taken points directly off the board. They've been fortunate enough to get them back more often than not, as Powell carries one for a short gain. Going back to Barnes, though, yeah. On that play just a moment ago, just trying to reiterate to the folks at home, rolling to his weak side and just uncorks a missile toward the left side back corner of the end zone that was caught for the TD before the penalty.
Yeah, and it's not – I mean, listen, you can go out in any yard, anywhere and watch some kids throw a football around, but you can tell when some kids are just a little bit different, when the arm's just a little bit more livelier. He's one of them. I think he's got really good legs, but his arm is really special.
Low snap here, but Barnes fields it cleanly. Pressure coming off the backside. He will have to flee toward his right. Now he cuts up field. Holy moly, this kid has wheels, folks. Barnes, in the blink of an eye, decides to abandon the pass, cuts up field. 6'1", 168 pounds. He turns on the Jets. And talk about making some real chicken salad there. A busted play facing a lot of pressure. And a massive gain from this impressive sophomore QB.
Well, and you had 2nd and 17, so you got 2nd and long. The defense is lined up ready for something, and he picks up 11 on that to make this a manageable 3rd down play.
3rd and 6, play fake, now going toward his right. That was a pass that was tipped in the air. I was getting ready to say 50-50 ball, but by the end of the play, there were a couple of Saints in the end zone who were the only ones close to catching it, but it was tipped well out of the back of the end zone. So 4th and 6 upcoming.
Well, I'm going to tell you why that pass wasn't intercepted. It's because Dion threw it hard enough that it went off Robert Cook's shoulder pad and almost went out of bounds after he threw it. It was a hard enough pass that even though it was tipped up in the air, it was uncatchable because it was far enough away.
Massive play here if the Saints are going to keep this game within striking distance. 22-7. Remember, they get the ball to start the second half. On a hard count, has drawn, I believe that's Lanier. Thatcher Lanier might have jumped off that outside edge, unabated to the quarterback to go old school on you, Casey, there.
Yeah, that is pretty old school, but that'll make this 4th and 6 even a little bit easier for 4th and 1 here. I'd like to see, let's see, you got Covington in the backfield. I was thinking you might line up Powell in the backfield, just run it right up the middle, but I'm no coach.
4th and inches now. Empty backfield. Barnes just chucks one deep in the left side corner.
It's an incomplete pass.
Yeah, knocked away. Again, at least in that end zone, my vantage point is completely blocked. I'm relying on the crowd, and the crowd kind of let me down there. The Saints got a good stand defensively. Barnes, though, uncorking another ball deep in the corner. Really, where only his guy had a shot at it, but it was just incomplete.
Yeah, and again, this angle is pretty rough to see this corner of this end zone, but the power of that pass looked like it was headed towards the parking lot, so I'm not real sure if the wide receiver had a chance or not. The good news for the Saints is they take over. The bad news is they're at their own 9.
And you're right, and especially in high school, and we'll have a timeout here called by the Saints. While we got this break, and with 8:01 to play, it's 22-7. There's a little confusion out on the field here.
Yeah, the scoreboard says 1st and 10. The last play was 4th and 1, so I'm pretty sure Whites Creek offense should be coming off the field now. I don't know if they know it, but we'll figure it out here in a minute.
You know, Coach Darnell, he's a crafty head coach. Maybe he says the old maybe we'll just leave our offense out and hope nobody notices. You know, the 5th down type play from back in the day. Didn't appear to work, though. Casey, to your point a moment ago, great news you got the stop, but especially in high school football, man, being backed up so deep in your own end, that can be a dangerous situation. This will be a massive drive for this offense.
Yeah, and Whites Creek's defense has been really, really strong the entire time. Yeah, they're going to line up. It's Whites Creek ball at first down. I'm not really sure what just happened, but it's Whites Creek ball. The Cobras have it looks like the 7 or the 8 yard line.
Yeah, our apologies if we missed something, folks. Maybe a penalty, perhaps. But somehow this drive is extended. And new sign of life for the Cobras, and they go back to Old Faithful there, tossing it near the goal line. A little quick toss to Powell, who doesn't get in, but he gets pretty doggone close. And the Cobras leading this game 22-7. A bit of a head-scratcher there as to really what happened. Might have missed the flag. We apologize. But that is disastrous for the Saints.
Yeah, I thought they were taking over. I thought it was their ball, but the Cobras offense just walked back out there after the incompletion on 4th down. But, again, we must have missed something. But Cobras looking to strike.
I see what you did there, partner. Handoff, caught in the backfield. Oh, and just dropped. Saw a couple of great one-arm tackles last week. Act of desperation, perhaps. But that is a big, big tackle, and a good job of bouncing back from Lanier, who was whistled for that encroachment a moment ago.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up because I was going to say it, but Lanier just trying to make up for his mistake a minute ago. I'm making an excellent play on Powell in the backfield because that dude is hard to tackle.
22-7, right around the midway mark here of quarter number 2. It was all Cobras to start, 16-0. And now they will take a timeout. 16-0 was your score. And then after 2 really subpar drives offensively, we saw Mount Juliet Christian put together a nice little drive, going some 61 yards to pay dirt. But an interception a moment ago is what's got Whites Creek in business. Pass was tipped in the air and picked off by the Cobras. And Caleb McDonald put his team in position at the Saints 40-yard line, where the Whites Creek offense is still out there leading this game now 22-7, looking for more points.
Yeah, and I'm really actually kind of I'm intrigued to figure out what happened on that fourth down play. I'd like to go ask somebody. I may figure that out at halftime while we go to a break. But we do have about 6 minutes left here in the second quarter, and Cobras look to be right at about the 10-yard line.
All right, Saints fans, it is fourth down.
Call to life here from the public address, trying to get this Saints crowd, a healthy crowd on a good-looking Thursday night here. Can they get a stop? Wiggling to his right. Barnes is going to have to unload, floating to his left. Fires downfield.
I don't see no flags. I believe that's a touchdown. Yep.
Yep, and the Cobras will haul it in. And Barnes threw it, obviously, and
Oh, my bad. I'm sorry. I believe Andrew Pritchett caught that one.
Perfect. Thank you, Casey.
I'm sorry.
I was flying blind here, and again, the Cobra fans, a handful made the trip. They were cheering, but not loud enough that I knew it was a surefire touchdown.
When I was afraid we'd have another flag. I mean, it seems
Also
like half
that.
the time the Cobras score, they call it back.
Barnes has got a laser of an arm.
And when you couple that with the feet, too, just elusive enough just to get away from all the pressure, and then fires just a dart over the middle to Pritchett, that it's going to allow the Cobras to keep pulling ahead here.
Massive response, man.
And they're going to get in for the 2-point conversion as well. I believe that's Covington just taken out of the I formation.
Covington plowing straight ahead. 28-7 is your new score. The Saints were right back in business, but Whites Creek has restored a little sense of order on their side of things here at the moment, and they lead this game again 28-7. Casey and I return right after this. Second quarter action rolling along here on the Main Street Preps Game of the Week, presented by our friends at Delta Dental.
At Delta Dental of Tennessee, we know our success begins and ends with providing superior quality service, and that includes serving those who need it most. This year, we're celebrating 25 years of giving back to the community we call home. Delta Dental, along with our Smile 180 Foundation, supports Tennessee's dental colleges and oral health education, children's hospitals, free and reduced cost dental clinics, and other like-minded charities. Here's to the next 25 plus years of ensuring healthy smiles.
Penalty flag right as we were going to break there. So the 2-point conversion is attempted for a second time, and it is good. So your new score is Whites Creek 30, Mount Juliet Christian 7. And we have seen some explosive play here from the Cobras. Again, 2-0. Second straight year they've started the year 2-0, trying to pick up that elusive third victory. They lost their final 7 games to finish 2-7 and out of the playoffs. They have not made the postseason, Casey. You got to go back to 2018. They made the 4A semifinals in 2009, and then they went from 2009 until 18 without a postseason berth. They've only got that 2018 postseason bid to show for it. But so far, based on what we've seen, they look like a team that's at least going to be in the playoff discussion as we come down the stretch of the regular season.
Well, I'll tell you a few things. I think when you got a quarterback like Deion Barnes, that makes you feel a lot better about your situation. And tonight, you know, we talked about Mount Juliet laying the foundation and building blocks for a strong season, but Whites Creek has continued to add on to the strong foundation that they already had. And other than a few mistakes that I'm sure Coach Darnell plan on working on, but they've been really, really solid. And when they don't step on their own feet, they are really pushing the ball. They're really explosive offense. The defense has controlled the line of scrimmage almost the entire time. Those slants kind of played it off, allowed them to get away from the pressure there for a second. But Mount Juliet's going to have to find something else because the Cobras kind of jumped in on that last slant, was able to get a pick. So let's see what happens.
30-7. We might have a quarterback change here. Graham Larson, he's also a sophomore. He's in at QB. He turns and hands it off. And, man, Whites Creek's flying to the football. 4 players. Couple of yard pickup by the end of it. But a couple of players flying to the football, including Robert Cook.
The sprinklers have come on the field.
You know, you got a little bit of everything. A couple of these poor these Mount Juliet Christian players are standing right next to a sprinkler on the sideline. Got splashed right there immediately. It's week 3 of the season, but you kind of got a little preseason antics here as the sprinklers have come on.
Well, you know, if Whites Creek starts to get all the momentum, you got to do something around here. You got to change it up, see what works.
I like that. I was at a certain school last week that rhymes with Schmowney, for those that can pick up what I'm putting down there. They were well on their way to victory, but they had a snafu with the lights after one of their touchdowns, and the lights went out in the stadium for about 5 minutes. Everybody made it home safe, though, so that was good. But we've seen a few things through the first couple of weeks of the regular season here. Whites Creek is 2-0. Mount Juliet Christian is 0-2. Coming up at halftime, Casey and I will talk a little bit more about this particular game. We'll give you some scores from around the mid-state. A score from the mid-state, I should say. And we'll also tell you where we're going to be next Thursday night. 1st and 10, not good for the Saints.
Well, I'm not really sure if Edgerton was benched or if they're trying to save him because the offensive line has had a lot of trouble blocking the Cobras tonight. Nobody wants to throw in a towel super early, but when you are down 30-7 and you've got a long slate of a season coming ahead of you, you don't want to lose your quarterback in Game 3. So Edgerton might just be on the bench just to save him. But Graham Larson, sophomore quarterback, like you said, get him some snaps. They're 5 wide here, so they might try to push the ball down the field.
Yeah, 3rd and 19. Just loading up for the bundle. They're tossing a little post route. That is hauled in.
Oh, my goodness.
Good grab by K.K. Curtis, who had the beautiful scamper for the touchdown, the only score of the night for the Saints, and he has a massive completion downfield. A couple of defenders in the area, but Curtis hauls it in just beyond for the first down, just beyond the 50.
I'm going to tell you, all things considered, that's one of the best throws I've ever seen a high school quarterback make. He's got 3 guys in his face. The Cobras defense they've been in his face every play. But he delivers a perfect ball on the corner route over here across the field. Perfect. Defense couldn't touch it, right in the receiver's hands. Dropped it right in the bucket.
Good throw here, like what we've seen thus far from, again, a fellow sophomore. Edgerton sidelined at the moment. Lawson is now completed consecutive passes as this is hauled in. Ooh. A little 15-yard in route and brought down with authority at around the 40-yard line. Big lick. We've seen Whites Creek have some vicious contact on these plays at various points tonight. That was our first look at the tight end, Jonah Kleinman. He's a sophomore. Good hands and good cut up field. Whites Creek kind of launched to try and make the tackle, and when doing so, the junior Amari Irvin kind of got shaken up on the play. He's getting checked out immediately by the training staff, and he's going to take a quick walk over to the sideline. Hope he's okay.
Yeah, those two just met in the middle of the field for a really hard hit. And Amari Irvin, he looks okay from here. He looks fine, but just go ahead and get him off the field. Let him sit for a second, make sure he's all right. I think both of them got their bell rung right there.
One of those big tree fall hard type moments. It was just 2 guys running full speed at each other.
I don't think they expected to meet as quickly as they did either.
I'm going to point out that Irvin is 6'1", 160 pounds. We don't have heights and weights for Kleinman, but he's a tight end. He kind of looks the part. Here's another pass. 3rd straight completion. All of a sudden now, Larson got the hot hand going here.
Well, Larson's down here on the sideline. That was Edgerton on the last throw. What happened to Larson, though? He had 2 great plays, I thought, and Edgerton, I mean, not that Edgerton made a bad play there. It makes another nice play for a first down, but the quarterback situation is kind of throwing me off here.
Our scribe in the press box, Ivan Aronin, he is feverishly working over there because, as Casey pointed out, they're kind of changing QBs. You've heard of swapping after the end of a drive. They're swapping in the middle of the drive here. So a little bit of a rotation and an extra step at that left tackle position there. I believe that's Devitt's. Came out of his stance. I tell you what, don't know what was going to be the end result of that play, but Devitt's was ready. Looked like he was pulling from the word jump. And he got a little too eager. 5-yard penalty going to go against left tackle.
Yeah, and one thing I've seen this drive that I really like out of Mount Juliet Christian, and now they have a running back in the backfield, but 4 wide, it kind of splits the defense up, maybe break up that pressure a little bit.
Whites Creek's gotten home with just 3 guys, maybe 4 at times. And we'll give it 5 more yards. Whites Creek has had a couple of touchdowns called back due to penalty. They've been able to overcome that, though, and still put up 4 scores. Now, Juliet Christian, they cannot really afford to go backwards too much tonight. This penalty is going to push it back to the 41. Late in the second quarter here, folks. 30-7. Cobras leading the Saints. 2:30 to go till halftime.
When that second false start penalty was on Lanier, and this is the second or third time he's been caught with a procedural penalty. So, I think he's just a little amped up right now.
They send a man in motion. They fake the jet sweep. Now they're going to throw downfield. Hit from behind. Quarterback Edgerton did well to get rid of it. There's another penalty marker down.
A lot of laundry tonight.
Yeah.
They're going to get a hold on that backside, and the pass rusher still got there.
Second or third time tonight we've seen a hold that was called almost immediately.
And it didn't matter.
We've got an offensive line change here. Logan Norwood, he's going to trot in at left tackle now as Lanier's going to take a breather.
Lanier was grabbing at maybe his lower stomach area. I think he may have just maybe had the wind knocked out of him or something.
Now shy of the 50. Mount Juliet Christian is going backwards, folks. 1st and 20, 2:05 to go. Can the Saints put up another little rally here? 30-7 is your score. It was 16-0 Cobras. 4MJCA got on the board. Passing the flat, that is caught. And now one man is eluded a tackle. Another tackle eluded by KK Curtis. Slippery when wet. Also just slippery in general is Curtis, who made the first man miss and then wiggled out of a would-be tackle. Cuts up field down the sideline. He did not get the 20 yards for the first, but he got about 18 back.
Well, I don't have a crystal ball. I don't know what the rest of this game or the rest of this season is going to look like for the Saints, but they need to do everything they can to get the ball in the hands of KK Curtis because he is electric with the ball in his hand. He makes things happen. Whitehat's got something going on here. Wait a minute.
And we're going to have a little bit of a scoreboard adjustment.
I was trying to hear what the white hat was saying, but I couldn't necessarily.
Add 10 seconds to
Oh, okay. I'm just going deaf then. Both of y'all heard it. I didn't hear nothing.
That's all right. We're working on it. 2nd and 12. Clock's to stop with 1:36. Mount Juliet Christian needs to score here. Remember, they get the ball to start the third quarter. Instead, going backwards. Pressure coming from the left and the right. 2 players converging for the sack. Maybe off the cornerback position there. Terry Lewis got home. And the offensive line woes for the Saints. We've talked about them at times tonight.
That was immediate. I mean, just immediate. I didn't really see the top end up there. I'm not sure what happened or if it was like a special stunt or something, but Terry Lewis just came off that edge and he was on the quarterback immediately.
Got a timeout taken. We'll stay with you guys with a minute 28 to go till halftime. It'll be 3rd and 20.
And they just had 1st and 20, and KK Curtis was able to make up quite a bit of that ground, and now you're just back where you were at.
It's been a herky-jerky second quarter. And
it really
Juliet
has.
Christian has kind of shown a little sign of life, but just not enough consistency to really put it all together.
Well, I think they're a good football team, but just against this Whites Creek team tonight, just the difference in the defensive line for Whites Creek against the offensive line for the Saints is what's really the main difference for me.
Yeah, Cobras are lining up just 3. Only 1 down lineman at the moment. They're sending 4. Pressure does get there. Edgerton dumps one toward the sideline. It's incomplete. Intended for Curtis. Even if he caught that, he had nowhere to go. Heading out of bounds. And so it'll be 4th down. Kind of a decision time here for Coach Davis. 1:22 to go. You don't really want to punt, but it's also 4th and 20. Maybe just throw one deep and see what happens.
Well,
arm punt if nothing else.
Well, and Bill Belichick and Tom Brady used to do that pooch punt thing, and I, as much as I hated Tom Brady, I thought it was really fun to see when that happened. But I think we got to see it week 1 in Green Hill, but I don't think they're going to try that here.
No quick kick here. They're going to load. Yeah, they'll throw it deep. It's a knuckler. There's a man downfield. And Casey mentioned the crystal ball earlier. I'll toot my own horn. It is indeed an arm punt because that pass is intercepted. Whites Creek, they're going to celebrate, and I'm never going to criticize a kid for making a football play, but they would have been much better off field position-wise of just knocking that ball to the turf. They intercept it via what we call the arm punt at around the 11. So that costs them about 30 yards of field position. But you still get a nice interception to add to your resume by the end of the season.
Well, you got to think about it. Just try telling a high school kid, a defensive back, you know what, you see that ball in your hand, make sure you knock it down. It's hard to think about because when you're back there, you're trying to do everything you can to take the ball back. So, like you said, Caleb McDonald just made a play. They would have been in better shape over here, but I'm thinking Deion Barnes might have him moving up the field quickly anyway.
Second interception of the night for McDonald. More on that in just 1 second. Because, yes, this offense is explosive, and Barnes is loading up. And that is caught on a hop, and oh, my word. Off to the races, uncorking about a 90-yard bomb. 88 yards officially. Barnes to Holland Jr. for the touchdown. A thing of beauty. When that ball was released, I said, there's no way Holland is going to catch that. But not only did he catch it, he caught it in stride just around the 50-yard line, and he used his legs for the rest, running untouched for the score. Wow.
And that was – I kind of felt like it was overthrown too, but Holland he ran up underneath it. Barnes again – I don't really think you needed a crystal ball for that one. I thought they'd move the ball up the field. I didn't think they'd score in one play. But I'm not real sure why the Mount Juliet defense didn't have a safety back. I would have had a safety back because of Barnes' throwing ability. But Holland just runs a little post route. The corner had some inside leverage on him, but he does a little moves inside of him. Once he beats that inside hip and he's inside there, Holland just runs under the ball and then just outruns everybody to the end zone. 88 yards.
Going back to, real quick, I kind of was joking a moment ago, but I do want to point out, McDonald did make the interception, and yes, technically it cost his team yards. But I want to point out that Caleb Graves was really breaking on the ball. And I don't know that if McDonald doesn't make the interception, that Graves just maybe doesn't slide underneath it. So I want to give McDonald props for his second interception of the night. It technically was the right thing to do when you revisit that play. And when you got a quarterback and you got a receiver combo like Barnes and Holland, it didn't matter if that drive was going to begin at the 40 or at the 12. Uncorking a missile. That was one of the prettier deep balls you'll ever see in high school football.
Yeah, and a little bit of deja vu there on the two-point conversion because they went back to Powell, and Powell just kind of found his way up the middle, 38-7 here lead for the Cobras. But that throw was really pretty. One thing I've noticed about Deion Barnes' throwing motion, it's a little bit elongated, but he really gets that arm back there, and I think that allows him to get that extra arm strength on the ball. But when he lets it rip, man, he really does. He lets it rip. And he's been fun to watch every play tonight. I know that first play he got sacked, but ever since that first play, he's been a lot of fun to watch along with the rest of this Cobras offense.
Cobras well on their way to a 3-0 start. More on them as the night continues. And Barnes has been electric, as good as advertised. I'm going to whisper this one more time for the rest of the folks in Region 5 AAA. Barnes and Holland are both sophomores. And we got another onside kick, or excuse me, squib kick that's hauled in at the 30, but it's blown dead immediately. And if you're the Saints, you get the ball to start the second half. You got 56 seconds, 2 timeouts. The age-old question, how aggressive do you get?
If I'm Mount Juliet Christian, I think I'll run the ball a few times here, try to run this clock out, go to halftime, and make a few adjustments.
Edgerton returns at quarterback. Again, they rotated a couple times. Did he and Graham Larson on that last drive. A very herky-jerky drive for Mount Juliet Christian. Looked like they were going to threaten to score. 4th down, though, they uncorked one deep. It was intercepted, and then the Cobras score one play later. And now here's a wobbly snap on the shotgun, and that play never had a chance as Prince Foster.
And Edgerton is still down. I mean, he does not look good. I mean, I don't think he's in a serious injury, but he's in pain.
Foster came flying in, and the missed snap, as it were, delayed the play just enough to allow him to get home cleanly. And Foster gets in for a big loss. And we do have an injury timeout. So we'll step aside for a break. Late in this second quarter, it's the Cobras of Whites Creek leading Mount Juliet Christian 38-7. Back after this, Main Street Prep's Game of the Week coverage presented by our friends at the Tennessee Highway Safety Office.
Deep in a forest at Nashville Zoo, new creatures here for you to view. Phantoms graced in black and white swing high in trees of dappled light. In rocky crags, tall and steep, small antelopes with nimble feet. A wise old man with beard of white, a sentry perched on stony height. Amidst it all, a hunter lies, with coat of gold and steely eyes. A new adventure just for you. Leopard Forest at Nashville Zoo. Open now.
If you want the latest in weather conditions, be sure to tune in to our Busy Bee Plumbing weather report each weekday on Mornings on Main Street. Brought to you, of course, by Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating and Air Conditioning. We will keep you updated on the latest conditions outside, like severe weather, heat, snow, rain, and even hail.
Joey Edgerton, sophomore quarterback for Mount Juliet Christian, slow to get off the field. And late in the second quarter, under a minute to play. Don't want to speculate, but we may not see him the rest of this evening, Casey Patrick.
And honestly, you know, when they made the change earlier, I thought we weren't going to see him anymore for the rest of the night. But Edgerton was able to walk off on his own power, but he wasn't walking very quickly. And looks like, yeah, they're going to let it run out. They're going to let that clock run out in the second quarter. We're going to go on to halftime.
And we will take a break. 38-7. Mount Juliet Christian fell behind early. It was 16-0 Cobras. Got back into it at 16-7. But then the Cobras strike once again. And again at the break, it is 38-7. Casey and I will step aside for a timeout as Main Street Prep's Thursday night game of the week coverage rolls right along. Sponsored all season long by our friends at Delta Dental and the Tennessee Highway Safety Office.
At Delta Dental of Tennessee, we know our success begins and ends with providing superior quality service, and that includes serving those who need it most. This year, we're celebrating 25 years of giving back to the community we call home. Delta Dental, along with our Smile 180 Foundation, supports Tennessee's dental colleges and oral health education, children's hospitals, free and reduced cost dental clinics, and other like-minded charities. Here's to the next 25 plus years of ensuring healthy smiles.
There's a line that links us all. Most of the time, we don't even think about it. But it's everywhere. Illuminating our neighborhoods, empowering our businesses, and helping us to recharge. Whether it comes from our grids, the sun, or a kind heart, we believe in the power of good energy. And as your family and region continue to grow, you can trust that we'll always be there for you. Middle Tennessee Electric, bringing good energy.
Deep in a forest at Nashville Zoo, new creatures here for you to view. Phantoms graced in black and white swing high in trees of dappled light. In rocky crags, tall and steep, small antelopes with nimble feet. A wise old man with beard of white, a sentry perched on stony height. Amidst it all, a hunter lies, with coat of gold and steely eyes. A new adventure just for you. Leopard Forest at Nashville Zoo. Open now.
Step into the Lionel retail store at Opry Mills, Nashville, and you'll be captivated by all the magic of the 123-year history of Lionel trains. Whether you're already a train enthusiast or just getting started, Lionel will energize your love for trains. NASCAR fan? Come check out your local Lionel station to learn all there is to know about model trains and die-cast NASCAR collectibles. Visit nashville.lionel.com or call 615-455-9399.
When the arena lights dim for a concert, or when the crowd becomes one at a big game, you can almost feel like you're the biggest fan. But who's your biggest fan? It's the person that will get you home safely after a night of drinking. It's the person who looks out for your life to make sure you leave the stadium with someone sober. This could be a designated driver or someone who offers to get you a ride share. Because in Tennessee, fans don't let fans drive drunk. Brought to you by the Tennessee Highway Safety Office, a division of the Tennessee Department of Safety and Homeland Security.
What are you doing out there?
Come on!
I saw you at the game the other night. Yeah, you. Up there getting mad, acting like we're all out there making $1 million a game. Well, let me be real with you. This isn't the pros. It's school sports, and it's a game, our game. So please, let us play.
School sports fans, remember, when you cheer for your team, make noise for the right reasons. This message presented by the NFHS and the NIAAA.
And all student athletes in Tennessee.
Welcome back, folks. Halftime here in the Main Street Preps game of the week. Brought to you by our friends at the Tennessee Highway Safety Office, who remind you that fans don't let fans drive drunk. We're also brought to you all season long by Delta Dental of Tennessee. Casey Patrick has gone down to the field, as has our press box scribe, Ivan Aronin. They're checking in on some injuries, and they're checking in on a unusual sequence we had in the second quarter. But that unusual sequence we had only temporarily slowed down Whites Creek as the visiting Cobras lead Mount Juliet Christian here at MJCA this evening, 38-7. It has been an electric performance tonight from the Cobra offense. They scored on their very first drive. They scored on their second drive. But leading 16-0, looked like we were cruising toward a blowout. Mount Juliet Christian, though, answers with a nice long drive of their own, going some 61 yards in about 8 plays before they finally punch one in for their lone first-half score. It was K.K. Curtis on that crazy sweep to the right that he had to reverse course to his left. But that made it 16-7. That held up through the end of the first quarter. Second quarter action, we saw a short rushing touchdown for Brendan Powell of the Cobras And then we saw 2 passing TDs. I mean, an absolute missile on the second of which we called just a moment ago toward the end of the first half as Barnes finds Holland on an 88-yard touchdown. And 38-7 is your score at the break as Whites Creek well on its way. We mentioned in our pregame, folks, they went 2-0 last season. They finished last season 2-7. If this score holds up, it'll be the first time that the Cobras have won 3 games since 2019. They have not won more than 3 games since 2011. So we're talking about the Cobras having one of their best starts in a long, long time here. Still, obviously, a long way to go in terms of the rest of the season for this bunch. But off to a fast start here as Casey has rejoined us. Casey, you were down field level there. The Saints obviously are licking their wounds after a disappointing first half. But, man, Whites Creek, they have kind of been as good as advertised as we thought maybe coming into this game.
Yeah, well, and I think I told you before we got started, I always get really excited to see some teams that I either haven't seen before or maybe haven't seen in a long time. And this Whites Creek team, you can look at stats and you can look at previous articles or this and that and the other. But until you really see these guys out here and start running around like Deion Barnes and, tonight Jock Covington's been really good. But once you see these guys start running around, then you get a better idea of how good they really are.
They have been fantastic. And Mount Juliet Christian, again, even though it's 38-7, they could have folded up shop because they trailed 16-0 early and nothing was working in their favor. But they showed a little spine, showed a little backbone, and got themselves up off the mat. It was 16-7. And you're thinking, okay, Casey, especially at the end of the first quarter, we might have a game on our hands. And then suddenly in the blink of the eye, we saw the Cobra strike yet again. Absolutely ridiculous in terms of the pace that they play at, and the offense absolutely humming thus far.
Yeah, well, Whites Creek, like you said, they were up 16-7, and Mount Juliet was trying to kind of mount the comeback. And I believe it was about 3rd and 20 or 2nd and really, really long at least. And you really feel like that momentum starting to shift back towards the Saints a little bit, and then just bang, the Cobras find the end zone, and I've said it a few times, but they get rolling, and they really do roll really fast up and down the field.
38-7 is your score at the break as we continue our halftime coverage here on Main Street Prep's Game of the Week action. We're presented all season long by our friends at the Tennessee Highway Safety Office and our friends at Delta Dental. When we come back, we'll hear from Ivan, who's been patiently waiting in the green room all night here. We're going to check in and pick his brain on the first half. We'll also give you guys some scores from across the state of Tennessee tonight and preview the rest of our Week 3 slate as TSSAA high school football rolls right along. Casey and I return right after this from Mount Juliet.
When the arena lights dim for a concert, or when the crowd becomes one at a big game, you can almost feel like you're the biggest fan. But who's your biggest fan? It's the person that will get you home safely after a night of drinking. It's the person who looks out for your life to make sure you leave the stadium with someone sober. This could be a designated driver or someone who offers to get you a ride share. Because in Tennessee, fans don't let fans drive drunk. Brought to you by the Tennessee Highway Safety Office, a division of the Tennessee Department of Safety and Homeland Security.
At Delta Dental of Tennessee, we know our success begins and ends with providing superior quality service, and that includes serving those who need it most. This year, we're celebrating 25 years of giving back to the community we call home. Delta Dental, along with our Smile 180 Foundation, supports Tennessee's dental colleges and oral health education, children's hospitals, free and reduced cost dental clinics, and other like-minded charities. Here's to the next 25-plus years of ensuring healthy smiles.
As we welcome you back in, 38-7 is your score at the break. Mount Juliet Christian trailing Whites Creek. Very entertaining first half, especially in terms of the explosive offensive play we've seen from Whites Creek. We mentioned we had a third man in the booth with us here tonight. It's not every day, Casey, we get to rub shoulders with greatness, but Ivan Aronin, our enterprise reporter, as it were, for Main Street Media. He's here in the booth. Ivan, good evening.
Yeah, I was checking on some of my sideline sources at halftime. there was a sequence about midway through the second quarter that really confused us. Whites Creek had a 4th down and threw the ball out of the end zone. Looked like Mount Juliet Christian was going to take over on downs. Evidently, there was a flag on the play, a defensive holding, that moved the ball about 4 or 5 yards close to the goal line. Whites Creek ran another play on 4th down and scored a touchdown on that play. And that evidently very few people here saw the flag.
Yeah, we had no real vantage point. All three of us were kind of aloof. Not that Whites Creek has needed really any extra help tonight because their offense has been fantastic.
Their offense looks like it can score anytime they want to with the 2 sophomores who are clearly college prospects. Mm-hmm. The one thing I see jump out at me from my stat sheet, I think Casey mentioned it early in the game, Whites Creek is dominating the line of scrimmage, especially their defensive line. I have Mount Juliet Christian running the ball 9 times, and of those 9 times, they've been tackled for a loss 7 times.
I believe that's what it's looked like out there from our perspective all night anyway from the defense. But I wanted to ask you about Mount Juliet. I know they've got a tough schedule coming up for their in-region play. Do you think this game will allow them to get ready for that? I mean, Whites Creek's a good team. Do you think that kind of shows them what they're kind of running into?
I think this will be, if not the caliber of team they will face. I think Wade mentioned the Friendship Christians and the Nashville Christians. I don't know. I think Whites Creek has just more talent, especially skill positions in those teams. But I think this would be the kind of talent that Mount Juliet Christian will face in the region.
Okay.
And that's going to be an interesting thing, too, because we already saw toward the end of the first half, quarterback Joey Edgerton departing with an injury. And Ivan, that also leads me, we tap into you as a source whether you realize it or not. And Casey and I, we had that Green Hill broadcast in week 1. And Jackson Crawford, a real standout senior, goes down with an injury right at the end of the game. And last week we were hoping to get an update. We couldn't bring our listeners an update, but it turns out you were actually covering Green Hill last week. Do you possibly have an update on Mr. Crawford and kind of what his prognosis is?
I talked to Coach Josh Crouch after the game, and I asked him about that specifically, primarily because they had another defensive back, Will Butler, who is a good college prospect, limped off the field in the first quarter, did not play the rest of the game. And Coach Crouch said that was primarily for precautionary reasons. He could have gone back in if it had been a region game, but they're at Ravenwood this week. Then they go back to Williamson County to play Centennial the following week, and then they start their region play. And Coach Crouch said that was mostly precautionary for Will Butler. For Crawford, he said he broke his ankle, season-ending. When the swelling went down, he had surgery over the weekend. So they put about 3 or 4 screws in a plate in his ankle. Said he just got it bent backwards by the whole pile when on that onside kick with I think it was about 30 seconds left in that game. But he was Coach Crouch referred to him as the captain of the defense, calling signals in the secondary and making a lot of plays that their defense, their secondary is supposed to be the strong point of their defense this year.
Well, I really hate the fact that Crawford got hurt so late in that game because they were up by a few scores, and it's an onside kick that really didn't matter. But getting back to this game here tonight, this second half, now we talked about Edgerton a minute ago, and we've been talking about injuries. He was down here getting some ice on his shoulder. We're probably not going to see him for the second half.
I'd be surprised if he plays any more tonight.
Well, and that kind of leads me into Graham Larson. I thought he played well in the 2 snaps that we got to see him, or I guess it was 3. I thought he played well in that first half. What do you want to see out of him?
I think going back to the Whites Creek defensive line, obviously Mount Juliet Christian really struggled to run the ball. But then you look at when they were passing, they either had designed rollouts, which were a little bit effective, or whoever took the snap at quarterback was scrambling as soon as he caught the ball on the snap. And I think Whites Creek, their defensive line was doing both pass rush and stopping the run all in the first half.
38-7 is your score here at the break. Mount Juliet Christian is trailing a very talented Whites Creek bunch. Ivan, you're going to stay close to home in a sense. You like Casey and myself. You're not just going to get one dose of football tonight. You're going to do another game tomorrow. Give us an update of where we can find you on the sidelines tomorrow night.
I've been drafted to do the Mount Juliet is playing at Friendship Christian. It's the first time those two have ever met in football.
Oh, wow.
Evidently, both teams had a hole on their schedule in week 3, and at some gathering of Wilson County football coaches last spring, Coach John McNeil Friendship and Trey Perry Mount Juliet basically said, why not?
Yeah.
And I believe it is a home-and-home series, and next year Friendship will go about the 10 miles or so to Mount Juliet High School.
Yeah, not a lengthy drive. Casey, give us an update on where you're going to be tomorrow night.
Well, I'm going to stay home between the two home schools that I've got. Of course, I was telling you earlier, I helped coach the bowling team at Creekwood, and I graduated from Dixon County High School, so this is always a really fun game for me. That's where I'm going to be Friday night, Creekwood. They are hosting Dixon County. And it's always a huge game. It's always a fun game because you get to see faces and people that you don't get to normally see, and everybody shows up for this game. All the coaches, all the teachers, the other coaches, other sports, former coaches, everybody shows up. And regardless of the actual game on the field, it's a really fun event for the community, and it's just really great to look forward to every year. Usually week 1, but this year week 3, and that's all right.
Yeah, just build it up a little bit. You mentioned that. Casey, Google tells me that the population of Dixon County as a whole is 54-some thousand. How many of those people are going to be at that battle, the backyard brawl as it might be called by some tomorrow night?
At least half of them. and a quarter of that's going to be stuck in the parking lot because it's hard. I mean, Charlotte's not a really big town. Of course, I've had family in Charlotte for at least the last century, maybe a little bit longer than that, and it's not a huge town, but everybody there loves their teams, and I keep saying it, but I am really excited because you've got Dixon County 2-0 coming in to this game with a lot of momentum. A big win over Columbia Central in week 1, a big win over Laverne last week. Creekwood's had 2 weeks where they struggled just a little bit, and they're ready to get back rolling, but they're at home. And of course, Dixon County's stadium renovation has forced them to play out of Creekwood all year long. So just a lot of different storylines here, and again, I'm just ready for 48 minutes of football tomorrow.
It is going to be a fun one. We encourage you to, whether you go to a game or not, to check out all of our recaps, photos, and more at mainstreetpreps.com as we get ready to begin the second half. I do want to pass along one score of interest at least. Trousdale County, who was defeated by this Whites Creek team, I should say, last week. They are leading Innovation Academy 42-0. Another score as Upperman, the Bees, are leading Farragut 28-6. Ivan, Casey, thank you guys for taking some time, and we're going to take a quick timeout, our final timeout here at the break. Casey and I return with the call of the second half with the Cobras ahead 38-7 here on Main Street Prep's Game of the Week action presented by our friends at the Tennessee Highway Safety Office.
When the arena lights dim for a concert, or when the crowd becomes one at a big game, you can almost feel like you're the biggest fan. But who's your biggest fan? It's the person that will get you home safely after a night of drinking. It's the person who looks out for your life to make sure you leave the stadium with someone sober. This could be a designated driver or someone who offers to get you a ride share. Because in Tennessee, fans don't let fans drive drunk. Brought to you by the Tennessee Highway Safety Office, a division of the Tennessee Department of Safety and Homeland Security.
Second half moments away, and Whites Creek leads at 38-7. They will kick it off. Casey, you just pointed out, though, we do have an update, it looks like, on our injury situation to your starting quarterback for Mount Juliet Christian, Joey Edgerton.
Yeah, they've got they got one of the UTVs out here. I'm watching him drive by right now. He is out here. Now, I think this is all precautionary. I don't want to speak, but he's got his arm in a sling and he's got some ice on his shoulder. So Again, I'm no doctor. I'm not even close, so I'm not going to try and figure out what it is. But if they want him for the rest of the year, he definitely doesn't need to be back out there tonight. There's no pads on him, so we're going to see, I'd assume, Graham Larson for the rest of this evening.
And if you're Mount Juliet Christian, trailing 38-7, we'll see what happens as we kick it away to begin the second half. A little bit of a horse collar, perhaps, there on the tackle, but ruled clean by our officials.
They're going to give him one.
We brought a late flag. And, Casey, with that being said, maybe see what you get on this opening drive, maybe second drive, 2 drives in, and then after that you kind of got to start maybe thinking about getting ready for next week because you jump right in to region play, as we mentioned a moment ago.
Well, I'm excited to see, too. Of course, they're out there calling the horse collar right now. Ball's going to get moved up to the 45. But I'm interested to see what kind of adjustments that the Saints have made. Of course, we've talked to it at lengths, and everybody's going to get tired of hearing me say it, but this defensive line from Whites Creek has been really dominant tonight. So I'm really excited to see if the Saints come out. I want to see if they do something a little bit different, see how they line up, and maybe they execute a little bit better.
38-7 your score, and just when you thought we were really kind of ready for play, we got another penalty. Whites Creek, I'm here to tell you, folks, we ran through some of the numbers. First time, if this score holds, or if this result holds, that they've won 3 games in close to a decade. They haven't won 3 or 4 or more since 2011. So kind of some rarefied air for a once very prideful program. Quick toss off to the right, and a couple of yards upfield. Good little tackle, though, made. Good pursuit by Whites Creek defensive tackle Tavion Reed, the senior, mopping up the play for a small gain.
Well, I'm really surprised the side judge down here called that flag on the offensive line on that last play. I'm really surprised because, personally, I thought that Keelan Schultz right here down here got a little bit of an early jump. But, again, my flag doesn't matter. So it's going to be 2nd and 15 here. Mount Juliet's got to do something to go forward. They tried that little pitch out, which is the first time I've seen it tonight. So you talk about adjustments. That's one little thing. But still not a lot of room to run.
Getting low on the play clock here. They brought 2 men in motion. Not at the same time, luckily. But Curtis, man, as elusive as he has been tonight, KK Curtis is finally bottled up. And Casey, unfortunately for him, we mentioned it, he ran about 40 yards on his 4-yard touchdown earlier. Those 40 yards don't count. So his net rushing is going to take a sizable hit here as he loses a couple yards on a toss in the backfield.
Yeah, and it's just – you can blame KK Curtis if you want, but there's just nowhere to run. As soon as they hand him on, it's like a jet sweep or like a little pitch up right in front of him, and there's just nowhere to go. You got I think it was number 55 over there, Travis Davidson, just in the backfield immediately again, making another play.
3rd and long upcoming for the Saints, and bad to worse. 2 Cobras swarming in the backfield, and a sack of Lawson.
Ooh,
but we got a face mask. Tough for us to see. And, it wasn't instantaneous, but, man, almost as soon as the snap was in Lawson's hands, he was already under duress.
Well, and that flag's dirty, too. It's hard to tell the yellow out there on the ground. I can't even see it, really. And it's still not even first down.
Yeah, not even enough to really get back to the original line of scrimmage here.
I was afraid they called one of those holding, like immediate holdings again, but they got them for face masks. But still, the Whites Creek defense has just been really hard to move the ball on at all.
38-7 is your score. Clock is rolling here, so we're already 6 minutes to go in the quarter, but we got a timeout. Our timeouts will be few in the second half, but we will take one now as we step aside for a break. Again, 38-7. Whites Creek is cruising toward its 3rd victory, leading here at Mount Juliet Christian. We're back in just a moment. Main Street Prep's Game of the Week coverage is presented all season long by our friends at Delta Dental.
At Delta Dental of Tennessee, we know our success begins and ends with providing superior quality service, and that includes serving those who need it most. This year, we're celebrating 25 years of giving back to the community we call home. Delta Dental, along with our Smile 180 Foundation, supports Tennessee's dental colleges and oral health education, children's hospitals, free and reduced cost dental clinics, and other like-minded charities. Here's to the next 25 plus years of ensuring healthy smiles.
Coming out of the timeout, it's going to be third and long.
Third and long. As we mentioned, folks, it's 38-7. We also want to point out, again, we 30 points and above here in the second half would constitute a running clock. So, and man, finally a whistle. We had not one but two different sets of movement there from the right tackle, Brandon Helm, who was not listed. Sorry, Casey. It was not listed as your starting right tackle coming into the game. A little shaky right there. He moved two different times. They finally burned him on the second.
Well, and that's I was going to start talking about this. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I haven't seen him out there yet today. So you got a young man just a little bit nervous. He's going up against a tough defense.
They dump one in the flat to the left. I love that from Helm, though. That time he got burned for moving early, and so that time he left his hand in the ground a full second after the ball had been snapped. Presumably because he knew the play was going to the left. It was caught in the backfield, minimal gain, and it's going to be a fourth and long here, presumably a punting situation upcoming, and Graves will trot back. Mount Juliet Christian, again, it's been a tough sled here tonight. They entered the night 0-2. They suffered a 42-7 loss to Joe Burns on the road to open up the season. Played over in Oak Ridge last week, taking on Concord Christian. The rare neutral site game, 42-7, was also the final. And as we sit here, it could get a little worse.
12 players on the field.
Could get a little worse.
Well, they ran number 60 out there late, too, and I'm pretty sure that gave them 12. Yeah, I tried to count them. I might be wrong. I can't really count that good either. So.
38-7. Clock will continue to roll despite the penalty. Infer from that what you will, ladies and gentlemen. But there have been a few little extra penalties against Mount Juliet here in this second half. And JCA is hosting Ezel Harding next week, and that kick is blocked. Oh, my, and it is scooped and scored. One-man show right there. Taking it basically off the foot. And blocked, recovered, and scored.
I believe it, yeah, number 8 right there. I was trying to figure out who it was.
And as fate would have it, I thought it was number 6. As fate would have it, there's not a number 6 or a number 8 on our otherwise perfect roster supplied by Whites Creek, so we apologize.
Well, whoever it was a heck of a play to get back there, block that punt, take the ball, and score a touchdown.
Heck yes. Great effort by that young man, and I hate to say it, yeah, both of our rosters supplied by a friend at Trousdale County as well as a friend at and the coaching staff, I should say, at Whites Creek. We don't have a 6 or an 8 listed, so either way we slice it or dice it. We don't have an ID, but a touchdown for the Cobras. And a disastrous second half here.
Powell walks into the end zone for the 2-point.
Powell's taking care of business, and Whites Creek has taken care of business. And we'll be back in just 1 second, folks. Main Street Prep's Game of the Week coverage is presented all season long by our friends at Delta Dental and the Tennessee Highway Safety Office.
When the arena lights dim for a concert, or when the crowd becomes one at a big game, you can almost feel like you're the biggest fan. But who's your biggest fan? It's the person that will get you home safely after a night of drinking. It's the person who looks out for your life to make sure you leave the stadium with someone sober. This could be a designated driver or someone who offers to get you a ride share. Because in Tennessee, fans don't let fans drive drunk. Brought to you by the Tennessee Highway Safety Office, a division of the Tennessee Department of Safety and Homeland Security.
At Delta Dental of Tennessee, we know our success begins and ends with providing superior quality service, and that includes serving those who need it most. This year, we're celebrating 25 years of giving back to the community we call home. Delta Dental, along with our Smile 180 Foundation, supports Tennessee's dental colleges and oral health education, children's hospitals, free and reduced cost dental clinics, and other like-minded charities. Here's to the next 25 plus years of ensuring healthy smiles.
Back with you guys here on Main Street Prep's Game of the Week coverage. Mount Juliet Christian in a world of hurt here, folks. They trailed 38-7 at the break. Their offensive drive went backwards. Part of that was Whites Creek doing with some elusive tackling, but then also part of that was penalty induced. Either way you slice it or dice it, it led to a block punt, a scoop, and a score for a young man that we're still trying to identify here. And there he is right there in front of us, number 8. Maybe by the end of the night we can get an ID.
Well, we got this window open. I might just holler out at him here in a minute. What's your name, son?
Heck of an effort.
Yes, sir.
He's out there in the secondary lurking, and that pass was nearly intercepted, tossed in the flat, but it is hauled in. And now as many as 5 different Cobras flying to the football. And, you know, this is going to be a tough way to end this game and in this broadcast tonight, Casey, because Mount Juliet Christian going to be on the wrong end of this. Whites Creek, though, for a team that's been downtrodden, you win 3 games, start the season 3-0. You got some explosive playmakers. Some signs of life for this team. Again, moving down to 3A football. They're in a brand-new region this year.
Well, and honestly, for those of y'all that don't know, you'd be surprised what kids are really capable of when they believe in themselves.
100%.
And when you go out here the first 3 weeks and you start playing football like this, 42-7, 42-7 over Joe Burns, and 42-33 over Franklin Simpson, 40-10 over Trousdale County for Whites Creek. When you start to win like that, you're up 46-7 tonight. You start to build that confidence. You got a young man, or even in other sports, young ladies that really start to get confident in themselves and what they're doing. Man, there's no telling. The sky's the limit for these guys, and I like the talent that they got. The defense has been strong. They've taken advantage of a lot of mistakes from Mount Juliet Christian. The forced turnovers. The offense is it's like a video game, really. And Dion just throwing the ball around. I almost called him Branch. But Dion Barnes out here throwing the ball around. He's been fun to watch, and they got a lot going good for him. And like I said, the confidence is sky high with those guys over there.
Absolutely. As we get ready for the second quarter. Couple things, a couple housekeeping items we wanted to address at halftime, but we had a few loose ends to track down from the first half, including the injury to Edgerton, who we certainly hope makes a safe and speedy recovery. We will be at Beach next week and talk about a big matchup. East Nashville, not used to being 0-2. And who knows how their Week 3 contest shapes out. But Beach also kind of not used to being 1-1. They're used to a little faster start. But East Nashville dropping a couple to Collierville and Antioch. They're at Hillsboro tomorrow night. Beach, meanwhile, has got a big showdown with Henry County. So we got a fantastic matchup next Thursday night. As this is caught in the flat. Again, we're in a running clock situation here. It'll be a speedy fourth quarter. Mount Juliet, as we mentioned, Mount Juliet Christian is hosting Ezel Harding next week. That'll be their first region game. Whites Creek, big showdown next week. They got Greenbrier coming. That's their first home game of the season. And I have been to some games at Whites Creek where it is a struggle to get anybody. And we're talking about a team that has had success, but not for a long time. So I will be curious and hopeful that we get a good crowd. They got Greenbrier, Liberty Creek, and then the region opener late September versus Westmoreland. Hopefully fans come out and support these Cobras at home for the first time next week. Big showdown versus Greenbrier.
Yeah, and, Greenbrier last year went 0-10. And, of course, last week they were able to pick up their first win since 2 seasons ago against they beat Sycamore last Friday. And Coach Harrison from Sycamore was not happy about that. But Greenbrier feeling good about themselves. Of course, they got another game tomorrow night, but this Whites Creek team's got something for them, I think.
We resume play here, and Lawson tosses one in the flat. We have not got to call the name of Ramel Anderson a ton tonight. He's got some great bursts out of the backfield. They've had to get creative with getting him touches. And that time they slipped him out as a wideout, and he does haul it in. 46-7, 8.5 minutes to go in this ball game. It's been all Cobras here tonight.
When I tell you, there used to be this old audio clip that they'd play on Madden, and it'd be Charles Davis talking about, when you're getting beat real bad, just, Coach would say, let's just try and do one thing right, and he'd say that over and over again, and it makes me think about this situation. I think Mount Juliet, you got Larson out here who's doing a lot of things really well right now on this drive. They're trying to figure out how to do a few things.
Another toss in the flat. Hold on to that ball, Petey. That's a tight end Kleinman yet again. Larson with a nice little pitch and catch, keeping things simple, finding his tight end, Jonah Kleinman. Second grab for Kleinman tonight. Since you mentioned Madden, I feel compelled to tell everybody to check in on their Dallas Cowboy fans. For a variety of reasons, but also because they trail at the halftime in that NFL opener tonight, 21-20, the Eagles. Sounds like a close game thus far.
Well, those division rivals, they're always tough matchups. I just saw a report today the Eagles tried to trade for Micah Parsons. I'm glad that didn't happen.
That would have been a headline grabber even more so than the deal with the Packers. Pass incomplete there on third and short, beg pardon. It's going to be 4th and 2. Maybe the real last gasp here for the Mount Juliet Christian offense. They trail 46-7. 6:50 to go. The clock will keep running here. Be nice to see him get a first down, maybe even punch one in the end zone here by the end of this thing.
Well, and Larson's been able to move the ball down the field. I like what the Saints have been able to do to get to this point on this drive.
Ball just beyond the Whites Creek 40.
He caught it.
That pass looked like it was intended in the slot. It sailed over the slot receiver's head and instead right into the hands of the flanker, Norwood, who hauls it in. Austin Norwood making a great grab along the sidelines for a first down.
Yeah, well, and Ramel Anderson looked over here at the sideline after that ball went over his head. He looked like he was kind of confused, and I was too. But like you said, Austin Norwood with a really nice catch and scamper to go get that first down.
6:15 to go. Time is the only real enemy here of Mount Juliet Christian. White Creek's going to win the game, but it'd be nice to see the Saints put some more points on the board. Another little dump pass over the middle. Cobras are playing it kind of safe, but Kleinman, you start letting the tight end get a little confidence, and it's a cliche, obviously, Casey, but the tight end is that quarterback's best friend. And he's bailed him out. Another nice grab there.
Well, the tight end's he's the tight end. He's the closest one to the quarterback. If he can get open, and especially over the middle of the field, it's an easy throw for the quarterback. It's his quick throw. And sometimes it's the first read, depending on how good your tight end is. But, Kleiman's been able to get open and make a few catches here. The offense, again, looking great with Larson.
Saints trying to bring the faithful at Suey Field to life one more time. Another dump pass. I believe Kleinman again.
The exact same play.
Yeah, just getting about 6 yards and just turning around, and he picks up about 4 more after the catch. Pretty vanilla from both offense and defense, but it's working for the Saints. 5 minutes to go in this running clock situation. They trail 46-7, trying to tack on their second TD of the night before we get out of here this evening.
Well, and I think you're right about the Cobras' defense. They're just playing real safe defense, and it just seems like a zone. The middle linebacker's been dropping back quite a bit, but they're running out of space here down in the red zone, so the middle linebacker may be close. He might play closer to the line of scrimmage.
Had a gun.
Oh.
And that one is batted away. Walter Miller, sophomore DB, got his hands on it. There were 1 or 2 receivers in the area. Incomplete.
Larson got rid of that thing right before he got smashed, too, in the backfield. Again, Whites Creek, and I sound like a broken record, but, the defensive linemen, they've kind of had a field day just getting around the offensive guys. And, of course, Edgerton got hurt earlier. You really hope Larson can stay upright for the rest of this game. We only got 5 minutes left, or 4 minutes, excuse me. So you'd like to see everybody stay healthy, stay upright. Let's play a little bit of good football here.
Alongside Casey Patrick, Wade Neely saying hello. Ivan Aronin is in the booth with us tonight as well. You can read his words at mainstreetpreps.com. at the conclusion after tonight's game. Another toss over the middle.
That's Kleiman again.
This tight end, Jonah Kleiman. Both of these teams, we've obviously gushed about the sophomore talent for Whites Creek, but this is a promising little sophomore class for Mount Juliet Christian as well.
When, we talked about building foundation and stuff like that earlier, little things like this, it may not seem like much to everybody else, but little things like this can breed a little bit of confidence into your team and help you going in the right way, and they're going to need that with region play coming up.
We'll probably go under 3 minutes by the end of this play here. Out of the gun. Rolling to the right. Hang on to the ball, young man. Graham Larson. He's brought down just shy of the goal line. Now Juliet Christian creeping closer toward the end zone. Again, time is the only enemy here. Now Juliet Christian is going to fall tonight. Whites Creek's not giving them anything, Casey, but they're having to claw for it here deep in the red zone.
Not really. Whites Creek can't give them a whole lot of anything other than a hard time all night long. The Cobras have been really, really good, and other than a few mistakes that you'd like to see them get cleaned up, man, they clean those mistakes up. You're talking about a really tough football team.
Can the Saints punch one in here?
I hope they go ahead and get in here. Yes, sir.
Into the end zone are the Saints. Good touchdown there. Caleb Graves, who has had a couple great grabs tonight, gets into the end zone. Good drive, all things considered, for the Saints here. And the fans get to celebrate at least one more time toward the end of this ball game.
When I tell you, another drive where that other drive, he really didn't get the whole drive, but he had a few plays. But that drive, that whole thing was, and not just Larson, but Larson did a really great job of managing the offense. He didn't do anything crazy. He didn't look like Joe Montana. He's just hitting guys that are open. He's just keeping the offense ahead of the chains. And that's really what the Saints had to do all night long to be competitive in this game. But it's good to see Mount Juliet Christian get down there and get in the end zone again, especially for Larson.
Kicks up and good. And good to see the Saints put some more points on the board here toward the tail end of this contest. We're under 2 to go, just over a minute, in fact, 1:10 on the clock. 46-14. In case who knows, obviously it won't impact the final tonight really by any great margin, but every little bit goes a long way, and we're still talking about Mount Juliet Christian beginning region play next week where you need to be at your absolute best. Maybe that drive gives them a little extra juice.
Yeah, you might have a young man like Larson who he's going to go home tonight and yeah, he knows his team lost, and he's gonna feel hurt, physically and mentally a little bit tonight. He's been hit a few times, but when you can do a few things right, like I was talking about, Charles Davis was mad a few minutes ago. When you do a few things right, you can really start to give yourself the foundation that we talk about, some good stuff to start putting one foot in front of the other. You can't run before you start walking, and sometimes you just got to walk a little bit. That's what that drive was for those guys. And maybe next week, maybe that's when they start to jog a little bit because you had to start walking tonight. And I think that's what we saw with that drive. I don't know how long Edgerton's going to be out, but I like Larson, and I like Mount Juliet Christian's offense if Larson is the quarterback moving forward for at least the foreseeable future.
Late in this contest, minute 10 to go. We mentioned to you guys we will be at Beach next week. Should be a big showdown. Now Juliet Christian attempting a little onside kick here. Cobras fall on it. And that'll bring us home. We will have to snap it maybe one time.
I wouldn't imagine you see any Whites Creek starters out there for this last play, but
we would hope not.
And I think you're going to see a few people that haven't necessarily been on the field a whole lot tonight. Prince Foster's going to be out there on the offense, but let's see. It looks like, for the most part, they're going to have quite a few new faces out there. And they only have a minute, but good to see Whites Creek getting some of the young guys an opportunity to get out on the field.
LaKenzie Marshall's out there at wide out, waiting on a few other folks to turn around so we can kind of give them some love there. Tavion Reed, he's a senior, anchoring that right tackle position. One more snap, we should be done. They'll take it.
I'll never understand that shot.
46-14, they will go to the gun, and that will be your final tonight. Kamari Sutherland, tough break for Kamari, comes in, has one official carry tonight, and it comes on the kneel down, so he finishes with the negative yards. But he'll take it because that means his Cobras got the win. Casey, the big play ability was there, but, man, the defensive line, you mentioned it from the jump, they absolutely decimated and put Mount Juliet Christian on their heels and never relented. That was kind of the story in this game. Those two factors cruising are the Cobras to 3-0 with this 46-14 final result.
Yeah, well, and I'm really excited to see this Whites Creek team against somebody in their region, see how that defensive line holds up against, maybe a different roster with more kids on it, who knows. But I thought Mount Juliet came out here and played hard tonight, but just didn't really have enough for Whites Creek. Whites Creek, they had talent, they had confidence, they were ready to go from the jump. As soon as I got out of my truck tonight to start getting this radio stuff in here, they were coming out of their locker room, and they were excited from the jump. They were ready to go then, and they've been playing like it all night long.
Good effort tonight. Hats off to both teams. Thanks for a great broadcast. A special shout-out to all of our staff and folks at Mount Juliet Christian who took great care of us all week and obviously tonight. Casey, we are on to Week 4. We are on to our respective Week 3 sideline games. It's always fun to put on the headset to kind of open up on a Thursday night.
Especially when we got some air conditioning and it's a pretty night like it was tonight.
Woo.
I'll take it.
Mother Nature was kind to us. Thanks again to everybody for tuning in. That is a final score here this evening from Mount Juliet Christian, home of the Saints. But the Saints unfortunately do fall. Again, 46-14 your final. Hats off to both teams and a special shout out to the Cobras. Coach William Darnell, folks, he's got this team playing with some confidence. 3-0 and rolling are the Whites Creek Cobras. We will check in on them as the season continues. And again, next Thursday, you can see Casey and myself. East Nashville at Beach. It should be a Donnybrook over in Sumner County. We're looking forward to it, folks. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Thanks to Ivan Aronin. Thanks to Casey Patrick. We will see you next time. If you missed any of our broadcasts, it'll be up on all of our YouTube and other Main Street Media channels. And then also check out Ivan's column from tonight's ball game later this evening and tomorrow at mainstreetpreps.com. We'll see you next time, folks. Good evening from Mount Juliet Christian, where it's the Whites Creek Cobras knocking off the hometown Saints by a score of 46-14. Good night.